Nepali Congress unveils sweeping political reforms, including a historic no-vote provision to strengthen democracy nationwide. Nepal's flagship government health insurance program faces crisis as hospitals halt services over unpaid dues. Nepal's first fully student-built Munal satellite launched, marking historic achievement despite mid-flight mission failure. Iran warns it is prepared for war if US intervenes amid deadly anti-government protests. Gold and silver hit record highs as US Justice Department probe raises concerns over Federal Reserve independence. And Barcelona clinches back-to-back Spanish Super Cup titles after thrilling 3-2 victory over Real Madrid in Jeddah. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsana Marai, and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe, it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo, and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. In Nepal, Nepali Congress is charting a path to reshape its future. Party's General Secretary, at its special convention underway in the capital, has unveiled a major political reform proposal, introducing a no-vote option for citizens both at home and abroad as part of a broader plan to strengthen democracy. The proposal was presented today by General Secretary Gagan Kumar Thapa during a closed session of the party's special general convention at Bhrikuti Mandap, which started Sunday and is co-led by Thapa and fellow General Secretary Bishwa Prakash Sharma. Thapa outlined 17 key measures aimed at making the party more accountable, transparent and people-centered. In addition to the no-vote provision, the plan includes independent election participation without pre-electoral alliances, a 2-term limit for the Prime Minister, safeguards for Nepalese living abroad to exercise their voting rights, and institutional reforms to prevent politicization of state bodies. The proposal also emphasizes curbing corruption through automatic suspension of leaders facing charges, strengthening parliamentary oversight, and ensuring efficient governance through transparent administration. Thapa cited the party's historic milestones, including the revolutionary spirit of 2006 Bikram Samvat and the inclusive vision of 2015 as guiding principles for the reforms. According to Thapa, these measures are designed to restore public trust in Nepali Congress and guide the country toward a more accountable, democratic and forward-looking future. Acting Nepali Congress President Purna Bahadur Kharka has called for unity within the party amid ongoing tensions. The call comes as the party's special general convention continues at Bhrikuti Mandap, convened by Congress supporters. In a statement, Kharka urged all members to avoid any actions that could undermine party cohesion. Highlighting the country's challenging political environment, he emphasized the need to resolve internal difficulties and restore stability. He stressed that through fair elections, the constitution must be implemented fully and democratic governance reinforced. He underlined that for Nepali Congress to navigate the current uncertainty, the party must remain united, organized and strengthened, with members coordinating closely to maintain internal harmony. Nepali Congress leader Gyanendra Bahadur Karki has described the party's ongoing special general convention as largely irrelevant. Speaking after a discussion with party's president Sher Bahadur Deuba, Karki noted that even the Central Working Committee had questioned the convention's significance, emphasizing that upcoming elections would bring stability to the country. He said the regular general convention is scheduled for April after the polls, while the doors for consensus, dialogue and unity remain open. President Ramchandra Paul has summoned a meeting of the National Assembly on January 18 at 11 a.m. The session will take place at the Federal Parliament Secretariat in Singhadarbar. According to the President's office, the session was called on the recommendation of the Council of Ministers in line with Article 93 of the Constitution. This will be the first National Assembly meeting since the Gen Z-led protests, which left the Parliament building severely damaged and unusable. Lawmakers will now convene at the Secretariat as authorities work on processing work for rebuilding the damaged structures. Earlier, Nepal government recommended National Assembly convene a new session. At a cabinet meeting at Singadarbar, the Council of Ministers proposed that the National Assembly session be called on January 19 at 11 a.m., according to government spokesperson and Minister for Communication and Information Technology, Jagadish Kharel.
सम्बत 2082 साल माघ 4 गते आइतबारको दिन बिहान 11 बजे संघीय संसद सचिवालय सिंहदरबारमा संघीय संसदको राष्ट्रिय सभाको अधिवेशन आह्वान गर्न सम्माननीय राष्ट्रपति समक्ष सिफारिस गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
The Cabinet also approved National Strategy Against Human Trafficking 2082 and a comprehensive financial sector strategy. In international assistance, the government allocated $350,000 for the reconstruction of Myanmar's Mahamunifaya Buddhist pagoda and Ganga Ghat temple damaged in the March 2025 earthquake. Likewise, Nepal will contribute $283,503 as its 2024 annual membership fee to the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, ICIMOD. Moving on, Nepal's Election Commission has introduced the concept of a green election ahead of the upcoming House of Representatives polls scheduled for March 5. The Commission's Code of Conduct requires political parties and candidates to use environmentally friendly materials for election campaigns and ensure all campaign materials are collected and properly disposed of after rallies, public meetings, and door-to-door programs. The guidelines also encourage digital campaigning, reduce noise, water and air pollution, and strictly prohibit the use of plastic or non-biodegradable materials. Vehicles used for campaigns are expected to prioritize electric or renewable energy sources. The Commission emphasizes that political parties must actively support environmentally conscious programs during the election process. We'll take a short break here. More news coming up. Welcome back to NTV World Primetime News. Nepal's flagship government health insurance program is facing a critical test as mounting unpaid dues push hospitals to the brink. Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital has announced it will halt insurance services from January 15, citing nearly 4 years of unpaid government reimbursements, raising fears that other hospitals may soon follow. The hospitals say the government has failed to clear about 390 million rupees in pending payments since 2020, raising fears that other hospitals could soon follow. Launched in 2016 and now covering nearly 1/4 of Nepal's population through 510 hospitals nationwide, the scheme allows families to access services worth up to 100,000 rupees annually. Authorities admit the strain is growing due to delayed payments, overuse of services, and the country's economic slowdown. For millions of Nepalese, this program has meant access to healthcare they could not otherwise afford. In a historic leap for Nepal's space ambitions, the nation's first fully student-developed satellite, Munal, was launched today from India's Satish Dhawan Space Center. But the moment of triumph turned bittersweet as the mission suffered a critical failure mid-flight. Devendra Subedi follows the satellite launch.
At exactly 10:32 a.m. Nepal's standard time on Monday, the Indian Space Research Organization's PSLV C-62 rocket soared into the skies from Sriharikota, carrying with it the hopes of a new generation of Nepali scientists.
2, 1, 0. S-139 motor and both strap-ons ignite.
Here's the pillar of
Lift
fire
off normal.
meets the
P1
canvas
tracking.
of
P2
blue.
tracking.
PSLV C-62 carrying the umbilical
P4
cover, a
tracking.
majestic liftoff.
Among the 16 payloads on board was Munal, a 1U CubeSat designed and built entirely by Nepali high school students. Developed over 2 years at the Space Systems Laboratory of Kathmandu University High School, the Munal project brought together 9 students from across Nepal under the mentorship of Antariksha Pratishthan Nepal, or the APN, and in collaboration with NAST and ISRO. Named after Nepal's national bird, the Munal satellite was built to monitor air quality and atmospheric data, aiming to support environmental research and STEM education. It was also a symbol of Nepal's growing capabilities in space technology. But just minutes after its launch, ISRO confirmed a third stage anomaly in the PSLV C-62 rocket.
We had attempted the PSLV C-62 EOS N1 mission. The PSLV vehicle is a 4-stage vehicle with 2 solid stages and 2 liquid stages. The performance of the vehicle up to the end of, close to the end of third stage was as expected. Close to the end of the third stage, we are seeing little more disturbance in the vehicle roll rates, and subsequently there is a deviation observed in the flight path. We are analyzing the data and we shall come back at the earliest.
The vehicle deviated from its intended trajectory, and all 16 satellites on board, including Munal, are now feared lost. This marks a significant moment in Nepal's space history. While the mission did not reach orbit, the achievement of building and launching a satellite entirely by Nepali students is unprecedented. Nepal's journey into space began with Nepali Sat-1, launched in 2019 under Japan's BIRDS 3 program. The satellite was built by Nepali engineers including Avas Maske and Hariram Shrestha in collaboration with an international team. In contrast, Munal is the first satellite developed entirely within Nepal by high school students using local resources and expertise. Despite Monday's setback, the Munal mission has already inspired a new generation of Nepali innovators. As the nation looks to the stars, this moment will be remembered not for its failure, but for its fearless first step.
Separated.
It is a confirmation from the range operation.
Joining us now live is Dr. Avas Maske, an accomplished aerospace engineer and founder of Antariksha Pratishthan Nepal. Dr. Maske, welcome to NTV World Primetime News.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, as someone who's also involved in Nepal's first satellite, Nepali Sat-1 project, how would you say Munal is different?
When we built the first satellite, we already had shown that university students could build it. The challenge was to go further down and see if high school students could build it. And on top of that, see if government school students could be involved in that project. So that is why Munal is so different in a way that we handpicked students from government schools and then built a space systems laboratory from scratch at Kathmandu University High School. So there were students from Azad, Chaitanya, Sanjeevani and Kathmandu University High School participating in that project, and they were able to build it in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. How big would you say is it for Nepal to have its own fully homegrown satellite? Does this mark a milestone in Nepal's space capabilities?
Right. So, I mean, we are trying to build up our in-house technology R&D from ground up. And that is why what we have done is we have built up the communication system, onboard computer, structure, everything has been built from ground up, right? So everything was designed by Nepali engineers, and then these high school students learned those designs, and then they built it from scratch, and was able to put, unfortunately, not into orbit, but at least it reached space today.
Dr. Maske, if you could explain the whole development process of Munal, that, as you mentioned, high school students were involved from across the country, in fact.
Unfortunately, we tried to do that. We tried to have students from all over Nepal, but the challenge was a logistical one. So what we did was we centralized the Space Systems Laboratory at Dhulikhel, and then we selected schools, government schools that was nearby. And that is how we managed to do it, because, you know, satellite making process is not a one-off process. It's not a one-day process. It takes quite a lot of time. And we had to manage their, curriculum. We had to manage their exams. So it was after-school program that we launched. And our engineers from Antariksha Pratishthan, Nepal, they were stationed at Kathmandu University High School 24/7, and they came to the lab and they learned it there.
Now, considering the setback that we saw with this mission, what would you say is in the offing, and how long can we expect until another launch of maybe Munal?
So, if you really look at the timeline, we started the project in 2022 January. And it has already been 4 years. So the agreement was signed in 2024 January between New Space India Limited and NAST, which is the stakeholder of this particular project. And you see that it took almost 2 more years to get the satellite up and running. In the meantime, we had already worked on Slippers to Sat. You must have heard the Chepang children had built a satellite similar to the size, and from high school we went all the way to middle school. So the middle school satellite was launched from China, and it's actually functional right now. We received the beacon from Japan and Nepal. In the case of Munal, it's unfortunate, but Munal was supposed to be the second satellite, and because it took some time for India to launch it, Slippers to Sat went ahead and got launched from China ahead.
Dr. Maske, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Dr. Avas Maske. He's the founder of Antariksha Pratishthan Nepal, talking to us about the mission that's called Munal. In another remarkable feat of courage, 46-year-old Hari Budamagar from Rolpa, Nepal has successfully climbed the highest peaks on all 7 continents using prosthetic legs. Born in a remote village, Magar recently conquered Mount Vinson in Antarctica, standing at 4,892 meters, completing the 7 Summits Challenge. He achieved the climb in freezing temperatures of -25 degrees Celsius on 5th of January, demonstrating that physical limitations do not define human potential. Magar hopes to inspire people with disabilities to recognize their own strength and pursue their dreams. His previous climbs include Mount Everest in 2023, Mount Kilimanjaro in 2020, Denali in Alaska in 2024, Aconcagua in Argentina in 2025, Puncak Jaya in New Guinea in 2019, and Mont Blanc in France. Through this achievement, Magar has set a new record, showing that determination and resilience can overcome even the toughest challenges. Now, Maghi, the New Year and major festival of Tharu community, is being celebrated with joy across western Tarai districts. However, in freed Kamaiya settlements, the festival passes largely unnoticed. Residents constrained by poverty and daily wage labor spend the day working rather than celebrating. In Dang's Kamaiya Mukti Nagar settlement, 142 families continue with their daily labor instead of participating in festivities. Authorities say over 10,000 free Kamaiyas nationwide, including more than 3,300 in Dang, are still without identity cards, leaving their rehabilitation incomplete. We're going for another break here. International update and sports news still to come. Tensions in Iran are escalating after weeks of deadly anti-government protests. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said that while Tehran is prepared for war, if the US intervenes, the country does not seek conflict. The warning comes after President Donald Trump indicated the US is considering very strong options in response to the crackdown. According to US-based rights group HRANA, nearly 500 protesters have been killed since demonstrations began over the rapid falling value of Iran's currency in late December. Meanwhile, a nationwide internet blackout has made reporting inside the country nearly impossible. Gold and silver surged to record highs after reports that US Justice Department has opened an investigation involving the Federal Reserve, stoking fears over the central bank's independence and driving investors toward safe haven assets. Spot gold climbed to a fresh peak, while silver posted its strongest session in months as markets reacted to the prospect of political or legal pressure on the Fed. Traders said the investigation raised concerns about the future conduct of monetary policy and the credibility of the world's most influential central bank. In a video announcing the probe, Powell said the US Justice Department served the agency with subpoenas and threatened a criminal indictment over testimony he gave to a Senate committee about renovations to Federal Reserve buildings. The United Nations top court has opened a landmark case accusing Myanmar of committing genocide against its mostly Muslim Rohingya minority. Myanmar's military deliberately targeted the Rohingya minority in a bid to destroy the community, Gambia's Justice Minister Dada Jallow told the ICJ. A UN fact-finding mission at the time concluded that the 2017 offensive had included genocidal acts. Nicholas Koumjian, head of the UN's independent investigative mechanism for Myanmar, said the case is likely to set critical precedents over how genocide is defined and how it can be proven and how violations can be remedied. But authorities in Myanmar rejected the report, saying its military offensive was a legitimate counter-terrorism campaign in response to attacks by alleged Rohingya armed groups. Well, we have sports news. That's right after this short break. Time now for sports update. Barcelona edged past Real Madrid in a 5-goal thriller to win back-to-back Spanish Super Cup finals in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It marked 16th triumph in the tournament for Hansi Flick's side, with Barcelona also beating Los Blancos in last year's final. Brazilian forward Rafinha's floated shot in the 73rd minute proved to be the winner after a frantic ending to the first half. 3 quick-fire goals in first half stoppage time put the two on level terms at the break after Rafinha had opened the scoring, drilling into the bottom corner in the 36th minute. Vinicius Jr. equalized 2 minutes into 3 of added time, nutmegging Jules Koundé on a brilliant run before sliding into the far corner to score his first real goal in 17 games since 4th of October 2025. But Barca held on to secure a second consecutive title for the first time since 2011. Before wrapping up, here's a look into the top stories once again. Nepal Congress unveiled sweeping political reforms, including a historic no-vote provision to strengthen democracy nationwide. Nepal's flagship government health insurance program faces crisis as hospitals halt services over unpaid dues. Nepal's first fully student-built Munal satellite launched, marking historic achievement despite mid-flight mission failure. Iran warns it is prepared for war if US intervenes amid deadly anti-government protests. Gold and silver hit record highs as US Justice Department probe raises concerns over Federal Reserve independence. And Barcelona clinches back-to-back Spanish Super Cup titles after thrilling 3-2 victory over Real Madrid in Jeddah. That is all for the moment. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. To join us through our social media and get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
What if I told you a story of a place shrouded in mystery and steeped in stones? A place where warriors were born and raised, and their path through the mountains still remain to this day. Ajirkot, Gorkha, the unbeaten kingdom.
हामी पाहुनाहरू आउनु हुँदाखेरि हामी यसरी स्वागत गर्छौं अनि अलि नाचगानहरू देखाउँछौं मेरो सिंहो नेपाल गाउँकी गोरखामा गर्व लाग्छ जन्मिएछु साथै स्वर्गमा म त नेपालकी छोरी भन्छन् गोरखाली जस्तो घाटु चुड्काहरू भन्ने चाहिँ विशेष गरी हुन्छ यहाँ
For those seeking a luxurious escape, there are stunning lodges that offer an indulgent retreat amidst the rugged beauty of this place. But for the true adventurers, this place has it all, from trekking through dense forest of Nagepokari trails to exploring ancient temples and learning the rich history of the region. So, what do you fancy? Are you the solo explorer, or do you prefer luxury within nature? Or perhaps you are the one who seeks to witness it all. Well, after all, life is a box of chocolates, and this place is filled with surprises. Welcome to the place where magic and reality intertwine, where the wonders of nature are both breathtaking and awe-inspiring. From the elevations of 300 meters to a towering 8,000 meters, this place will leave you mesmerized and in awe.
Nepal has numerous places and monuments of historical, archaeological, religious, cultural and natural significance. Among them, one is Bodhanath Stupa that lies in the northeast of Kathmandu. This world-famous stupa is the property of ancient arts and culture. It is also the property of Buddhist civilization.
Bodhanath Stupa संसारकै एउटा बौद्ध मार्गीहरूको आस्थाको केन्द्रबिन्दु हो र बौद्धनाथ स्तूपलाई हामी बौद्ध महाचैत्य, च्यारोङ खसु छोड्थेन, खासा चैत्य र खासी चैत्य विविध नामले हामी यसलाई चिन्ने गर्दछौं र यसको आफ्नै महत्त्व छ, विशेषता छ, गरिमा छ.
This region, spread in about 7,630 square meter area, is about 7 kilometers far from Kathmandu Darbar Square. It is about 100 feet in radius and has a height of about 141.8 feet.
प्राचीन कालदेखि नै जुन अहिले काठमाडौँ छ, पुरानो बस्ती जतिमा चाहिँ सबै बहाल र बहिलहरू छ जहाँ वज्राचार्य र शाक्यहरू बौद्धहरूले चाहिँ उहाँहरू बस्नुहुन्छ र त्यो गुम्बा विहार गुम्बा सञ्चालन गरिरहेको छ त्यो बहाल र बहिलको देश भएकोले नै होला सायद तिब्बतमा चाहिँ बाल्युल नै भन्छ
Its date of construction is not yet exactly ascertained. However, its date of construction is not yet exactly ascertained. However, some theories based on some myths, chronology, and some written scriptures of Guru Padmasambhava are popular.
बौद्धको जुन हामीले पुरानो सम्बन्ध पुरानो मान्यताहरूलाई खोतल्दै जाने हो भने ज्यारोङ खस्योर भनेर त्यसको चाहिँ छुट्टै अलग्गै त्यो कसरी निर्माण भयो भन्ने लिखित रूपमा शास्त्रीय भाषामा लेखेको अहिले तिब्बती भाषामा पनि भनेको छ तर त्यो प्योर तिब्बती मात्रै नभएर त्यो शास्त्रीय भाषा हो त्यो चाहिँ हिमाली भेगका जति पनि अरुणाचल भुटानदेखि लिएर माथि मङ्गोलियासम्म तिब्बत चाइनाका चाहिँ यो तु उइगुर भन्ने जुन भेग र सिचुवानसम्म अहिलेको तिब्बत मात्रै नभएर तिब्बतभन्दा माथिल्लो उच्च जुन तिब्बतको गान्सु प्रान्तको मुनितिरको भागसम्म पनि त्यही भाषा प्रयोग गर्छ त्यो भाषामा चाहिँ हामीले बाल्युल भन्छ बाल्युलभित्रको पनि यो बौद्धलाई विशेष गरेर चाहिँ ज्यारोङ खस्योर भन्ने गर्छ
The stupa, which is the largest stupa in the world, is believed to be constructed with the remains of Kashyapa Buddha in it. This stupa, also considered as the symbol of Trikal Buddha's heart, harbors thousands of devotees and visitors every day. Furthermore, with the enlistment of the stupa in the UNESCO's World Heritage List, its fame has skyrocketed. Despite the fact that majority of residents around the stupa are from Tamang community, there are also people from other communities like Newar, Sherpa, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Tibetans, and so on. This very feature symbolizes unity and diversity.
तिनै कालका बुद्धहरूको चित्तको प्रतीक हो अर्थात् भूतकाल वर्तमानकाल र भविष्यकालका बुद्धहरूको चित्तको प्रतीक रूपमा यसलाई लिने गरिन्छ
The history of Bodhanath Stupa. The history of its construction is still mysterious. However, different myths, chronicles regarding its establishment are popular. As per the scripture of Guru Padmasambhava, Bodhanath is called Jarung Khashor in Tibetan language.
स्तूपको जुन प्राचीनता ऐतिहासिकता अझै पनि इतिहास चाहिँ स्पष्ट रूपमा किटाइन कसैले अंशु वर्माको चाहिँ अस्तुर राखेर बनाएको पो हो कि भन्छन् लगभग 8औं 9औं शताब्दी ताकाको कुरा हो त्यो अहिले हामीसँग भएका इतिहासका जुन भनाइहरू कथनहरू लिखित दस्तावेजहरुमा त हामीले अहिलेसम्म भेटिएको त छैन तर पनि नेपालका इतिहासकारहरूले कतै कतै त्यो कुरा उल्लेख गर्ने गरेको छ फाबसिङमुन भन्ने यो जुन बन्देल वर्षमा भनेको तत्त्व सम्बन्धको इलिमेन्टल एस्ट्रोलोजी एस्ट्रोनोमीको यो अथवा यो जुन खगोल शास्त्रको जुन सिद्धान्तको आधारमा पनि यो दुवै स्तूपा ज्यारोङ खस्योर र स्वयम्भू नमो बुद्धका जुन आधारहरू हेर्दा तिब्बतमा बौद्ध धर्म फैलिनु भन्दा अगाडि नै बनेको हुनुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ त्यो विश्वास छ
According to a myth, an angel named Purnima Gangchungma was born in earth as a punishment for stealing flour in heaven. She was born in a place in Nepal as Jajima, a daughter of poultry farmer. Later, when she grew up, she got married to a horse trader. After the birth of a son, the horse trader died. She then got married to a pig trader. After the birth of a son, the pig trader too died. Then after, she married a dog trader. He too died after the birth of a son. Finally, she got married to a poultry farmer. He too died after the birth of a son. The mother of 4 sons then got involved in poultry farm and amassed a bigger fortune. After her sons got married, she still had a bigger chunk of wealth and she decided to devote herself in religious rites. Then a thought of establishing a stupa was emerged in her mind. She then pleaded the king to allot some land to make the stupa. The king responded to her demand positively. However, a widow willing to perform a larger kind of pious work was intolerable to the wealthy people of that community. They then went to the king, pleading him to stop the project. Since the king had already promised her, he denied going as per their request. Due to this reason, the word Kashwar was added to the name, which means slipped promise. And finally, it became Charong Kashwar.
झारुङ भनेको गर्न मिल्छ कार्य गर भनेको खासोर भनेको हाम्रो मुखबाट शब्द फुस्किनु राजाले वचन दिनु भनेको त्यो कार्य गर भने राजाले वचन दिएको हो भन्ने चाहिँ पुस्तकमा छ उल्लेख छ स्पेशली हाम्रो यो वज्रयानको धर्म वज्रयान बुद्धिस्टको चाहिँ यहाँ जड भनौं न कार्य कर्म सबै झारुङ खासोर चाहिँ मुख्य हो.
In Tibetan language, Ja means a year of the bird. The construction was said to be initiated and ended in the same year of bird after 12 years. So it is believed to be called Charong Kashwar. Jajima died 4 years after the start of the project. Then her 4 sons continued the project. Due to their pious work, those 4 sons are reincarnated as Holy King Trisong Duchen, great Buddhist preacher Shanta Rakshit, Guru Padmasambhava, and religious minister Bami Thiser in Tibet, and had worked for the establishment of Buddhism according to a myth.
हिमालय क्षेत्रमा भुटान लद्दाख सिक्किम तिब्बत भुटान मंगोलिया सबैतिर यो वज्रयानको प्र्याक्टिस चाहिँ यो वज्रयानको परम्परा धर्म चाहिँ त्यो कारणले गर्दा यो हामी फैलिएको हो भनेर हामी सबैलाई यो चाहिँ थाहा छ हजुर.
According to a belief, Bodhanath Stupa was constructed in around 5th century. It is said that the stupa was discovered in the era of Lichavi king Shivadev. Some Buddhists believe that, like Swayambhunath, Bodhanath was also self-created. According to a chronicle written by Daniel Wright, the stupa was constructed by King Manadeva I, which was started in 464 AD and completed in 505 AD. It was later destroyed by Mughal king and later reconstructed. Bodhanath is the world's biggest Buddhist stupa. It is coated with thousands of grams of gold. Water is filled in the stupa's pond in every 12 years. And in every 12 years, there's a carnival to observe the Bodhanath pond. During the carnival, thousands of Buddhist devotees, either local or foreign, visit the spot to see the pond and take the water out from the pond. It is believed that whosoever sees the pond and drink water from it will have his or her illness remedied, and healthy people will gain immunity to fight against the diseases. A Chinese lama is appointed by the Guti Sansthan that belongs to the government of Nepal, whereas the Ministry of Culture and Tourism has established Bodhanath Area Development Committee that looks after Bodhanath and performs all the necessary renovations of the stupa.
श्री बौद्धनाथ क्षेत्र विकास समिति 2053 सालमा नेपाल सरकारद्वारा गठित संस्कृति पर्यटन तथा नागरिक उड्डयन मन्त्रालय अन्तर्गत रहने एउटा सरकारी निकाय हो. मूलतः बौद्धनाथ क्षेत्र विकास समितिले बौद्ध महाचैत्य जुन विश्व सम्पदामा सूचीकृत छ यसको संरक्षण गर्ने, पर्यटनको प्रवर्धन गर्ने, धर्म संस्कृतिको जगेर्ना गर्ने, प्रवर्धन गर्ने र स्थानीय लेभलमा कुनै महत्त्वपूर्ण विकासको योजनाहरूमा यसले चाहिँ टेवा पुर्याउने यो संस्थाले यी कामहरू गर्दै आइरहेको छ.
All the ritualistic works are performed by Chinese monk, whereas all the works of conservation and renovation is performed by Bodhanath Area Conservation Committee.
बिहान बेलुका यसो अब भ्याएन भने भ्याएन भ्याएको बेलामा हामी कराहरू गर्छौँ अनि पाटीहरू पाल्ने घुम्ने मानेहरू घुमाउने यसो गर्छौँ. घुम्नलाई आनन्द लाग्छ. अब घुमेर यसो पाटीहरू पाल्ने कहिले घुम्ने घरमा बसिराख्नुभन्दा घुमेर गर्नलाई राम्रो लाग्छ, खुसी लाग्छ आफैलाई.
This stupa is based on the practice of Mahayana Buddhism. It is also taken as the symbol of Chintamani. As per the Buddhist model of construction, bricks, mud, stones, wood, copper and gold were used to construct the stupa. It has 5 layers of construction, which are considered as the 5 elements of nature that are needed for the creation. The upper portion of the stupa from the ground level is considered as the earth. The core above it is considered water. 13 Bhuvan symbolizes fire. Chatravali symbolizes air, and the topmost dome indicates the sky. There's a ring road that encircles the stupa. Buddhists encircle the shrine chanting Om Mani Padme Hum. It is believed that chanting the mantra will free oneself from all miseries and will finally achieve salvations from the heaven, hell, earth, and other places. There are 6 such places in total according to Buddhism. Different statues of Bodhisattva are placed in different parts of the stupa. Mantras are written in each statue. There are 108 different parts in the stupa, and a statue of different gods and goddesses rests in each part. There are 108 total statues placed on those parts. Its dome is considered as the symbol of the universe. The 2 eyes in each direction is called Harmika. Harmika indicates the 4 noble truths and 8 rightfold paths. These peaceful and thoughtful eyes also symbolize knowledge and measures to rid from evil. It is believed that the gaze of the eyes will rid oneself from sex, anger, greed, attachment, jealousy, gluttony, and pain, and will take the mind to bliss, non-violence, and positivity. The question mark-like symbol below the eyes symbolizes nirvana, and the dot symbolizes wisdom. There are 13 more stories above the Harmika. These 13 stories indicate the 13 places after life that Bodhisattva crosses. After the 13th story lies a gold-plated copper lotus. The flower symbolizes softness, purity, kindness. Then after lies Chatravali's, which is considered as a protector of the stupa. The top part of the stupa is considered as the symbol of Sumeru mountain, which indicates greatness. It is believed that after reaching the peak, one is supposed to attain nirvana, shunyata. Buddhist devotees pray to the shrine, seeking welfare not just for themselves, but for the entire living creatures.
यसमा गुरु रमशील पद्मसम्भवले भन्नुभएको छ हामीले बौद्ध परिक्रमा गर्दा कोरा राउन्ड गर्दाखेरि 7 कोरा गर्नु 21 गर्नु 13 गर्यो भने राम्रो बलिचित्त सोच राखेर प्राणीदान मल्लम गर्यो इंग्लिशमा एस्पिरेसन भन्छ डेडिकेसन पनि भन्दछ नि त्यो गर्यो सम्पूर्ण प्राणीको लागि सोचेर गर्यो भने बुद्धत्व प्राप्त गर्न सक्छ भन्छ
Nepal signed the World Heritage Conservation Treaty to renovate of different cultural and religious heritages with the aid of UNESCO in 1978. By 1979, 7 places inside the Kathmandu Valley were listed in the World Heritage List. One of those 7 heritages is Bauddhanath.
यहाँ घुम्न आउने पर्यटकहरुमा त अब धार्मिक पर्यटक नै बढी आउँछन् एसियन मुलुकबाट चाहिँ बढी मात्रामा आउने गर्छन् त्यो सँगसँगै अब अमेरिका त्यसैगरी युरोपबाट पनि धेरै पर्यटकहरु आउने गर्छन् बौद्ध धर्म दर्शन संस्कृतिको पनि एउटा यो केन्द्र भएको हुनाले त्यससँग सम्बन्धित पक्षहरुको अध्ययन गर्नका लागि पनि धेरै विद्यार्थीहरु अध्येताहरु पनि यहाँ आउने गर्छन्
Though the earthquake of 1934 could not harm the area, it was badly harmed by the earthquake of 2015. Different parts of the area were harmed by the 2015 earthquake. Then after, under the coordination of Archaeological Department, Bodhanath Area Conservation Committee was able to renovate all the damages.
2072 साल वैशाख 12 गते शनिबारका दिन बिहान 11:56 मा गएको 7.8 रिक्टर स्केलको विनाशकारी भूकम्पले नेपालका धेरै सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाहरू क्षतिग्रस्त हुन पुगे र त्यो विनाशकारी भूकम्पले बौद्ध महास्तूपलाई पनि ठुलो क्षति पुर्यायो। बौद्ध क्षेत्र विकास समितिको नेतृत्वमा चाहिँ यसको पुनर्निर्माण गर्नुपर्छ, यसको जीर्णोद्धार गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने अभिप्रायले हामीले कामहरू अगाडि बढायौं।
The renovation project was initiated in July 5, 2015 and completed in November 20, 2016. A puja was performed by then as a symbol of sanctification.
73 साल मङ्सिर 3, 4, 5 गते चाहिँ हामीले शुद्धिकरण तथा प्राण प्रतिष्ठा पूजा सम्पन्न गर्यौं।
Iconic place to be, and it's a very, very powerful spiritual place for Buddhist people as well as other people. Everyone comes here. I love it here. I love it here. Energized. It's a very energetic place. It's a perfect place to practice and to just be. Everybody is so kind and welcoming. It's been good here.
Different festivals and jatras are celebrated in Bodhanath every year. Among them, one is Mamla Jatra. It is also called Azim Jatra. There is no authentic documentation regarding the origin of this jatra, yet oral tradition says it had begun in the 8th century after Guru Rinpoche Azim was established as the protector of this area.
यो जात्रा चाहिँ विशेष गरेर ममको स्मरणमा ममको सम्झनामा मनाउने गरिन्छ। मम चाहिँ बौद्धको रखवाला रक्षाकर्ता भएको हुनाले उहाँकै सम्झनामा उहाँकै स्मरणमा जात्रा मनाउने गरिन्छ र जात्राको दिनमा चाहिँ ममको रथहरू सिँगारिन्छ। ममको प्रतिमालाई चाहिँ लामाहरूले क्षमा याचना गर्दै मूल प्रतिमालाई चाहिँ छोपेर राखिन्छ र उहाँको प्रतीकात्मक स्वरूप प्रतिमालाई चाहिँ खटमा राखेर नगर परिक्रमा गरिन्छ र जात्रा चाहिँ विशेष गरेर राति मात्र हुन्छ। अजिमाले चाहिँ यो क्षेत्रहरुमा चाहिँ आफ्नो क्षेत्रभन्दा भित्र कुनै पनि भूत प्रेतहरू पिशाचहरूलाई आउन दिदैनन् भन्ने एउटा जनविश्वास छ, जनश्रुति रहेको पाइन्छ। बौद्धको सेरोफेरो वरिपरि चाहिँ यो ममको चाहिँ एउटा संरक्षण गर्ने क्षेत्र हुन्, त्यसैले त्यहाँ चाहिँ रथहरू लाने गरिन्छ भन्ने एउटा हाम्रो एउटा स्थानीय मत रहेको पाइन्छ।
Likewise, a day before Chaitra Purnima, Temal Jatra is observed. This Jatra is celebrated especially by Tamang community. During this Jatra, Tamangs from Kathmandu and neighboring districts visit the place and ignite lights in the loving memory of their deceased relatives. There's a tradition of giving alms and donations after the completion of puja. They also sing Tamang Selo and dance with the song. Vaisakh Purnima celebrates Buddha Jayanti. This is the day on which Lord Buddha was born, got enlightenment, and received Mahaparinirvana. There is a special puja on this day for the same reason. In the like manner, people perform plantation of paddy as the festival during the month of July-August. This jatra is a part and parcel of Buddhist identity. People light lights in the memory of their deceased relatives on this jatra as well. On Mangsir and Posh, October, November and December, January, people celebrate the Dasami Cheju Puja related to Guru Rinpoche. Losar, which is New Year, is also celebrated in a grand way. Special carnival is observed here during Sonam Losar.
बौद्ध स्तूपलाई मैले ज्ञान र शान्तिको प्रतीक ठान्छु त्यसले गर्दाखेरि म यहाँ आइरहेको हुन्छु यहाँ आउँदाखेरि मलाई शान्त फिल हुन्छ यहाँ आएपछि मलाई इन्लाइटन फिल हुन्छ यो एरिया घुम्दाखेरि मलाई आनन्द आउँछ
Similarly, after death of a Buddhist in the area, the deceased body is taken around the mortal remains is taken around the shrine and then cremated. It is believed that taking the body around the shrine will free the deceased person from all the worldly and afterlife sufferings.
मर्दाखेरि पनि बाँच्दाखेरि पनि हामीलाई बौद्ध चाहिन्छ के बौद्ध महास्तूपको त्यति महत्त्व छ किनभने मृत्युपछि पनि परिक्रमा गरेर लाँदाखेरि चाहिँ मुक्ति मिल्छ भन्ने एउटा जनविश्वास छ.
These festivals and celebrations are no doubt a continuation of Buddhist culture, but are equally useful in preserving the Buddhist culture as well as for the promotion of tourism.
More Chinese people, Chinese tourists come to visit Nepal because Nepal is a very beautiful country and the Buddha is a very beautiful place. We like Nepal very much. Nepal is a very peaceful country and the people very kind-hearted. So welcome to Nepal.
This World Heritage Site has religious, historical and cultural significance. It is our responsibility to promote this holy place as a beautiful tourist destination for the visitors from all over the world and work for the preservation of it as well.
Today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from the beautiful hills of Virginia. Tara Linhart, an award-winning musician who is known for blending Appalachian bluegrass with Nepali folk sounds. Tara has performed on some of the biggest stages in the US and has a deep connection with Nepal's music and art. And joining her is Prince Nepali, a talented sarangi player, music educator and a generational musician continuing his family's rich musical legacy. Please welcome Tara Linhart and Prince Nepali. So when Appalachian bluegrass and Nepali folk music come together, what do you think it connects to the bigger world, and what is the core of this music?
Music is music, and notes are notes. And the Appalachian music and some of the Nepali music, it just has some of the same groove and same feel, and even very similar melodies,
right?
And also themes within the lyrics, and so they blend really well. And so I think it's hopefully it'll be more and more, but there should be a lot of cross-fertilization of ideas between the two musics, because they sound great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we play a Nepali song and then a Appalachian song, and it sounds similar, same.
And so you're saying that American folk instruments and Nepali folk instruments are somehow parallel to each other.
They work really well together. And the Nepali sarangi, we recorded it, a friend of mine, Danny Nicely, and I, we recorded a bunch of sarangi music many years ago, probably a little after 2000 or something. And we brought just the sarangi music without the bansuri and the model. And we brought it back to America, and we played it for some of the Appalachian style, like bluegrass, an old time we call it the paharako git, from the Appalachians. We played it for the professional violin players. We call them fiddle players there. And we said, where do you think this person is from? What is this? And they said, well, it's definitely Appalachian fiddle playing. I almost know the song, but I don't know the song, so it must not be in my state. It must be in the next state over, because it's, I almost feel like I know it, but I don't. And then we said it's a sarangi and it's in Nepal, and they'd be like, you know, blew their minds because it was so similar.
So fiddle is from another, you're from Virginia, right?
Yes.
So fiddle is this instrument called fiddle from another state, or how does it work?
A violin, so in English, it's very funny, the history of English, we have two words from many things. We have the fancy sounding formal word, which is from French, like violin, and then we'll have a more basic, the people, common person word, which is usually from German. So the violin and the fiddle are the exact same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
But one is from German, and so that's like what the country people, you know, paharko manche, gaonko manche, they'll want to call it the fiddle, and they'll just play it, and they'll like to have people dancing, and they'll be like they'll play it like this, right? And then if you have really good posture and your eyebrows are up and you play it, then you might play the violin.
Okay.
So it's basically like the country music, you know, basically whenever you're traveling, you see the folk and the local thing, you know. It's not like I mean, you don't have a proper posture to it, you know, and then it's basically how the lifestyle is more about, you know, how you play. The music is more about the lifestyle that you
and for
find
fun,
people. And like, also for fun, mostly for the community music and everything. You know,
like
we gather up.
If you see, like I spent a lot of time in some of the Gandharva villages, and when there's no audience and they're just them, they're playing because they want to play and they enjoy the music, and their kids are dancing and their kids are learning to play, growing up from a young age. And it's the same thing in the Appalachian Mountains, which is interesting because a lot of the city people in the United States have no idea about Appalachian culture in the United States, which is quite funny. If you ask a lot of people throughout the United States, especially from urban areas, but any place that's not in that little Appalachian, middle Appalachian zone, if there is Raxi, if there's moonshine, and they'll say, no, there used to be, maybe 100 years ago, doesn't exist now.
I think
however,
people around the world have this misconception that Americans, even us, like our generation, they don't have culture, per se. But like the sarangi, we have our own community-based musical instruments, like the sarangi. The Tamangs have the tungna, the damfu.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
we have the madal.
So
can you tell me
our
what
traditional
are
instruments?
Yeah, instruments.
Yes. So yes, we have the mandolin. And each of these, because the United States is such an immigrant place, a lot of them were brought over. So mandolins were brought over, I think by the Italians initially, because the Italians were very well known for making them. I think the guitar came from the Spanish coming over. the banjo came from Africa and was modified in the United States. This was also, the Italian mandolins had a big round back on them. But then the Americans, Orville Gibson actually figured out you could make it just concave like a violin or fiddle. So you have the basic, also upright bass is very common. So you have bass, guitar, mandolin, banjo, fiddle, which is violin. But yeah, so that, and people will just play on their porch the exact same way that like a Gandharva community would just play on their porch. They finished doing the farming, they play music for fun. And now, of course, with the evolution of post-industrialization, people are specializing.
Prince, what about the sarangi?
Sarangi is actually mostly played by the people here, called Gandharva. So Gandharva mostly came from the west actually, western part of Nepal mostly, and now they're all over Nepal actually. And I think Tara is actually has done a lot more work on Gandharva as well. So she's been like taking some documentaries from back then, you know. And yeah, I think the Gandharva people, so the king, like every ethnic group had their own jobs to do.
Right.
So Gandharva people were given the musical thing where they used sarangi and their vocal. So back in the days when there was no means of communications like televisions and radios, so Gandharva people, they used to go around the village, you know, give the message to the people. So basically by storytelling or singing the song, you know.
Bringing the news.
Bringing the news, actually, and going from village to village. Talking about me, I'm the 4th generation in my family to play this instrument. So everybody in my family is like, we come from a Gandharva family, and everybody in my family played like sarangi or madal or somebody singing, you know. That's amazing part of it actually.
So Prince, how did you start playing the sarangi?
Sarangi, yeah, was always at home basically. So so I used to see like my father, and he's been playing music all his life.
Grandfather as well.
So yes. So yeah, Mangar Kansa Nepali is my great grandfather, and Ramsaran Nepali is actually a very big singer. I mean, he traveled a lot.
And Ramsaran Nepali is a pioneer sarangi player of Nepal.
Yeah, he was a singer and a sarangi player. He traveled along with sarangi in many parts of the world. So yeah, and he kind of like introduced like the metal string for sarangi, and sarangi itself as a lead instrument, you know. So back in the days, the instrument used to be only like accompanying the vocal, you know. They used to play, but just the melodies that they used to sing, you know. And nowadays it has been used as a leading instrument where you kind of like do solos and many things, you know. And they have like different styles of playing, like many musicians in Pokhara or some, they have like different style of playing. And also in the eastern part of Nepal, there are lots of people who have like a different style of playing. And yeah, when I was very young, like I used to see my father playing all the time he had like lots of different bands, and then he used to play in this band called Trikal, Sukarma, you know, and also was like traveling along with the instrument in many parts of the world. So whenever they were practicing, there used to be a sarangi just by the side, and I used to just go and pick it up, just, you know, noodle with something. I was like, I started really young when, like, I mean, he didn't force me to play anytime, but I was like so inspired by just looking at him, you know, how that music could change like the whole ambience there. So
it also brought him to different countries and different places. And one story that I know that his father had told me was that he was playing a concert in France, and so he asked, you know, everyone's like, you'll have to see the Louvre, the big museum there. And he said, I wonder if there's any Nepali music in here, can we find out? And they went and they looked, and it was his grandfather. Had been recorded as a child, and he was in the Louvre Museum, which is pretty.
Yeah, I listened to that music, and it was so amazing. That's what I'm like. What Tara told before was like the connection of like the style of playing. You know, in like most of the part of the world, when you listen to fiddle and sarangi, it sounds so close. You know, you cannot like recognize it's from Nepal or like from the US. You know, it just gets connected to you. I mean, in different forms. So. Yeah, and I started like when I was 7, just playing, a few songs and just imitating my father, how he used to play.
And then it became your passion.
And yeah, it became part of my life.
And your brother also is a musician?
Yes, my brother, he's a singer actually. He does play like a Nepali rhythm, like Marul Dhime. But he's a very good singer. It's called Prizal Nepali. So he's done many commercial songs at the moment, and yeah.
My friend that I made a documentary called the Mountain Music Project, going back and forth between Virginia and our Bahar Gogit and mostly the Gandharva as focus. But he became a very gifted professional musician, and his father says the way that I got him to play music was I'd leave all the instruments out in the room, and I'd leave the house and I'd say, "Don't touch them," and he'd leave, knowing that if you tell a kid not to touch the instruments,
that's true.
They're there, and they watch their parents having
so
fun
nice.
with it all the time. That's some people think I'm going to make my children play, and they'll give them some classical lessons or something, and they have to sit and they have to play for a certain amount of time. It makes the kids often get a bad taste in their mouth from it. But if you just demonstrate how fun it is, it's like a game you get to play, but you have to know how to play the game. Then all the kids want to play the game. They want to be involved.
Right.
And then also he got the extra thing where his dad was like, "All right, don't touch that." And then as soon as his dad would leave, he'd look in and be like,
this is pretty amusing to me.
it.
Like, you all the way from Virginia, you as an undergraduate student, you were here in the 90s in Nepal.
Yes.
So how did that happen, and how did you meet his father?
Well, I have to say in the 90s, I did not get connected with the Gandharva community yet. I got connected with the Newari community. So I was here as a University of Wisconsin student, and I traveled with an environmental NGO called ECA around Nepal, which was very interesting. I studied tabla with Homnath Upadhyay, who I ended up meeting his son at a gig after we played together in America. And I also studied with Shambhuji Mishra. But I spent most of my studies in Bungamati studying wood carving. So I studied with Puniraj Tulador, which was quite an honor because he's a brilliant wood carver. And I lived with his family. And Shanta Tulador is now an amazingly good wood carver. And so is Purna Lakshmi, who's a female wood carver. And I believe one of the only full-time, really top-notch female wood carvers that I know of.
Bungamati is actually the capital of wood carving in Nepal, right? So you've not only experienced the music here, but also the other arts and architectures as well. So how were you interested in the wood
how
carving?
could you not be interested in wood carving? Like, I came to Nepal, I didn't know much about it, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I have to do this.
Yeah,
I mean, it just blew me away,
right.
seeing them working. And I was like, wow. Can I learn that? And luckily, the University of Wisconsin at that time had a program here, which was very open-ended and pretty much let us study anything, as long as we wrote a 100-page paper at the end. And so I ended up writing my paper just about Bungamati and anything I could find about it, because I spent most of my time carving wood. And then at the end, I was like, oh, I have to write my paper. But
it sounds amazing, though.
It's an amazing opportunity, and I still am connected with them, and they're like family now, because I've known them since they were little kids, and now they have kids, and their kids
So
are
this early connection in your life with Nepal's art and culture is what inspired you to do music.
I actually decided to become a professional musician when I was at Kopan doing a meditation retreat, and I was not meditating very well. I was not having empty mind. Instead, I would sometimes giggle, and I was thinking about what I really wanted in my life, and I decided I wanted to be a musician. And I was studying tabla at the time, and the more I got good at tabla, the more I wanted to play melody and rhythm again from strings, because I was a guitar player growing up. And then I decided I love to travel, and I love to be able to walk up the mountains and fly different places. So I realized a mandolin could do everything a guitar can do, but it's more travel size. And so I was sitting there pretending to be meditating on emptiness at Kopan, and I was actually thinking, yep, I'm gonna buy a mandolin as soon as I get home. That's what I'm gonna do. So my experience with a silent meditation retreat at Kopan for 2 weeks was I became a professional mandolin player.
Wow.
I don't think that's what they hope for everyone in meditation, but that was my result.
So moving to Prince, so you come from a very musical family, a family with a rich musical legacy. So how do you experiment and relate between something like this instrument right here, mandolin, and with someone lively as Tara? Like, how do you connect and balance between tradition and experimenting?
A very good question, actually. So, for an artist like coming from a very folk, traditional playing background, so actually my family has been very inspiring in that part, where you basically kind of like experiment with so many things. And yeah, as I told, like my grandfather, he kind of like started with some back then, like sarangi strings, used to be a gut string, like made from intestine, like sheep intestine strings, and slowly, like we nowadays, I think we like really use those strings, and then in few places we do, but and then it turned into a nylon string. People do play nylon string as well at the moment, and so we moved to a metal string, which is very easier to travel with and very reliable on terms of like doing big concerts, So as we have to like mostly travel, play with a different kind of music, I kind of like crafted my own style, where I kind of like want to jam with some other musicians, and I probably like got very inspired from my father, because he used to travel around and play with so many other musicians, So
all over
it
the
was
world, yeah.
all over the world. I mean, he was like, I got so inspired from him.
Yeah.
So, and he used to sometimes jam with the mandolin, sometimes with the violin, and sometimes with some percussion. I mean, I saw so many musicians in my life where he kind of like connected to me, and then like.
And I think his family, all the members of his family have pioneered some of the new technology, and now it's taking off about, putting a pickup on an instrument, playing it with a standing up stand, playing with a strap, and the same thing with our traditional music in Appalachian, bluegrass and old-time music. There will be the purists who will say, if you tune your sarongi different ways, or use, how far can you take it with pedals where it's no longer a traditional instrument? There's no right or wrong answer.
We find so many common things, when you're hearing the fiddle tune, I find it's like, oh, I think I could play that in sarangi,
Right.
That could be so wonderful to play, and some melodies are very connecting, like that. So like few melodies that I was learning from it, like. Doesn't sound like Nepali song?
It sounds American folk music, right? Okay,
yeah, we can do like this is an American song, so you kind of feel like it's a Nepali song as well.
Right.
You have like very common thing that you can like hear, from the sounds of like. So I probably find it like you have like so many wonderful melodies that you can hear like and connect together.
We both are musical educators as well.
Yes,
so
I do.
how are you trying to preserve these traditional musical instruments and folk music all together?
Well, I just love to teach. I love to inspire. So I will, often people will come to me and they may even say, I want to learn rock and roll, I want to learn, and I'll say, great, we'll get to that. But first, let's try some Irish tunes and some bluegrass tunes and maybe a Nepali tune. And so I introduced them to a buffet table, is what I think of it as, of like, when you go to a buffet and it has different kinds of foods. And I say, why don't we play some gypsy jazz, and we'll play some bluegrass and some old time and some Irish and some Nepali. And then you can taste the flavors. And 90% of the time, they taste some of these traditional flavors and they love it.
Yes.
And they want to play more. And I don't know about you. How would you go approach?
So I think first of all, by playing, mostly inspiring people. So that's how I go first. Like first of all, I think I have to be like inspired just to play this instrument first of all, and then I can inspire other people as well.
It's not always the easiest way to make a living music, but it's very fun.
I feel like everyone should
Try it.
Try it.
Yeah.
Like just one musical instrument or go for singing.
I think, of course, I mean, if you're in Nepal and then also like any part of the world actually, you have like, I'm talking about Nepal, but you have like so many different instruments in Nepal that you can learn, and you can just like sarangi is one of them, and you have tungna, you have arbazo, you have madal, you have basuri, so many different instruments. And I think one of them should just give it a try, or just, you know, just as a hobby. I mean, it is like fantastic when you're playing music and trying to like play with other people as well, you know.
What would you like to tell the world about folk instruments and folk music? Do you want to share something to the world, and do you have a message to them?
Yeah. Play music. Follow us. Yeah, buy our CDs and listen to us on Spotify, of course, and you know, all of those things.
You have to say something?
iTunes, whatever.
Yeah, actually, same as Tara. You just listen, I mean, have fun, just pick up an instrument, play, you know, just get one instrument, and then I think more of it is like we're trying to do some, like, part of having fun is one thing, but we also kind of like inspire people, like, just to pick up an instrument, you know, just to have fun with it actually. So yeah,
and even just follow your passions, even if it's not music. Perhaps your passion is drawing, painting, wood carving,
I mean,
any kind of pottery.
Just things that make.
Create something. Do something that brings you joy.
Joy, yeah, that's true.
Do something that brings you inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, that is all for today, folks. Thank you for sharing your story and your sound with us, Prince and Tara. So it's amazing to see how music can connect worlds, from the Appalachian Trails to the Himalayan hills. So thank you. See you next time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन।
अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड। रमाइलो आउने। यस 2 1 बन्जी।
डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो, जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लगाएर नर्मली जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लगाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ।
लेट्स गो।
This is the story of Dilip Sapkota and Sisir Dahal, two wheelchair daredevils who challenged their physical limitations by jumping nearly 200 meters. They weren't just attempting a bungee jump, they were making history by attempting a bungee jump in their wheelchair. The location was the famous The Last Resort, offering adventurous thrill over Bhotekosi River in Sindhupalchok district of central Nepal. From the launch pad, a suspension bridge over the river, a free fall 160 meters down the gorge. This bridge had been the launch pad for the courageous and adventure seekers for years. But on this day, the jump was not just about adrenaline rush, but also about defiance, about breaking the barriers. Dilip, a fierce advocate for inclusive tourism, has spent years pushing boundaries, paragliding, ziplining, even bungee jumping without a chair.
म अपङ्गता भइसके पछाडी म आफूलाई कसरी रिफ्रेश बनाउने त म आफै चाहिँ कसरी ह्याप्पी हुन्छु भनेर आफैलाई बुझ्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले घुम्दा ट्राभलहरू गर्दा एडभेन्चरहरू गर्दा अझ म बढी आफै खुसी भएको पाएँ। अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ मलाई मैले प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरेँ। प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरिसके पछाडी बन्जी पनि गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने लाग्यो अनि मैले बन्जी गरेँ। बन्जी गरेपछि होइन अब यो बन्जीलाई पनि एकचोटि व्हीलचेयरमा पनि बन्जी गर्नुपर्छ हैन। नेपालमा म चाहिँ अपङ्गता भएका साथीहरूले चाहिँ एडभेन्चरकोमा चाहिँ अलि पछाडी देखिने, उहाँहरू खासै त्यति धेरै एडभेन्चरहरू गर्नलाई त्यस्तो खेलहरू खेल्नलाई डराउने, यस्तो हुन्छ उस्तो हुन्छ भन्ने उहाँहरूको चाहिँ मेन्टालिटी पनि थियो र त्यो मेन्टालिटीलाई पनि चिर्नुपर्छ। मैले यो सकिन्छ, हामीले पनि खेल्न सक्छौँ, गर्न सक्छौँ र एउटा चाहिँ समावेशी पर्यटनलाई पनि यो एउटा वकालत पनि हुन्छ। नेपाल सरकार लगायत सम्बन्धित निकायलाई यो वकालतको पनि एडभोकेसी पनि गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने उद्देश्य राखेर मैले चाहिँ बन्जी गरेको।
Sisir, an agricultural entrepreneur living with spinal paralysis, has turned his challenges into advocacy.
म honestly भन्नुपर्दा यो चाहिँ पुरै अनप्लान्ड नै हो हैन। जति पनि मेरो लाइफमा म जति पनि एडभेन्चर अथवा गर्छु हैन, त्यति धेरै प्लान गरेर चाहिँ गर्दिम भनेपछि गर्दिम भन्ने टाइपले चाहिँ यसको लागि चाहिँ म विशेष धन्यवाद हाम्रो दिलीप सरलाई म दिन चाहन्छु है। उहाँले मलाई थाहा नै नदिकन ल आज जाम भनेर भन्नुभयो। मैले आज भोलि हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्दैछौँ भनेर हिजो दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि, हामी काठमाडौँबाट हिँडेको मान्छे दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि थाहा पाएको। सो अब गरौँ न त, आइसक्यो भनेर चाहिँ हैन एउटा अनुभव पनि हुन्छ लाइफमा। हामी जस्तो अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिले पनि गर्न सकिन्छ है भन्ने टाइपले हैन। अनि त्यहाँबाट अरूलाई मोटिभेट गर्नलाई साथसाथै अब आफ्नो पनि एउटा रिफ्रेसमेन्टको लागि चाहिँ अब आज हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्न जाँदैछौँ।
Together, the goal was clear: to inspire thousands and redefine what people with disabilities can achieve. A wheelchair bungee jump was no ordinary feat. It demanded innovation, precision, and absolute commitment. The team designed a secure rigging system, checked every bolt and knot, ensuring the wheelchairs and harnesses could withstand the extreme forces.
सेट बाबु खासै त्यस्तो डिफरेन्ट त होइन। उहाँहरूको अब स्पेसल अलिकति समस्या भएर त्यो अनुसारको सेफ तरिकाले गर्ने अर्को डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो। जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लगाएर नर्मली जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लगाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ। सो खुट्टामा चाहिँ केही पनि प्रेसर पर्दैन, ढाडमा पनि कम प्रेसर पर्छ। सो त्यसरी गर्दा चाहिँ उहाँलाई एकदम कम्फर्टेबल हुन्छ। अनि प्लस अब उहाँले अब तल गएर तान्नुपर्ने हुक गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरू हुन्छ। सकेसम्म उहाँहरूले ट्राई गर्नु भएन भने हामी एकजना रेस्क्यु स्ट्यान्ड बाई हुन्छ। अनि त्यसको लागि चाहिँ हामी अलिक बढी प्रिपेयर गरेर गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। अब सेफ्टीको हिसाबले अलिकति डिफ्रेन्ट तरिका चाहिँ अपनाउनु पर्यो हामीले।
This was not a stunt. It was proof that adventure can be made accessible.
34औं अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय अपङ्गता दिवस हो। सो यो अपङ्गता दिवसकै दिनमा चाहिँ केही एउटा चाहिँ एडभेन्चर गरौँ हैन। कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन, त्यसको लागि पनि एउटा चाहिँ पहिलोचोटि गर्दै हेर अरू साथीहरूलाई पनि एउटा चाहिँ इन्करेज गरौँ भन्ने चाहना हो खास।
At the edge of the platform, silence fell. Dilip rolled forward first. The count began.
Happy International Disability Day, all of you.
a symbol of confinement, transformed into a vessel of freedom, probably the first ever wheelchair bungee jump in Nepal.
Promax bungee!
खासै अहिले चाहिँ पुरा म नर्मल चाहिँ एकदम चिल भएको छु हैन अब यहाँ हाम फाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ म हाम फालिसकेपछि अनुभव सुनाउँछु अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड आई एम गोइङ टु डु समथिङ फर माइसेल्फ हैन आई एम गोइङ टु डु माई फर्स्ट बन्जी अफ माई लाइफ so I'm very excited.
Then came Cecir's turn. With equal determination, he embraced the drop.
Let's go.
His leap cemented the moment, not a solo feat, but a shared victory.
रमाइलो यस उहाँले आर यु रेडी भन्नुभयो मैले ठिक छ म रेडी भने मैले आँखा चिम्म गरिदिएँ अनि त्यसपछि ठ्याक्कै उहाँले 1 2 3 जम्प भन्नुभयो उहाँले पुस गरिदिनु भयो मलाई म पुस गरेको आँखा चिम्मको चिम्म तल पुगेपछि ठ्याक्क त्यो डोरीले तान्छ नि तानेर माथि आएपछि त्यो समय चाहिँ मैले यस्तो फिल गरेँ कि म बाँचेँ हैन मसँग अब चाहिँ सबै चिजहरू मसँग फेरि पनि छ र मलाई चाहिँ एकदमै आनन्द त्यो टाइमको त्यो 2 सेकेन्ड 3 सेकेन्डको एउटा चाहिँ ह्याप्पिनेस एउटा त्यो रिफ्रेस एउटा त्यो फिलले चाहिँ एकदमै ह्याप्पी दियो क्या मलाई इनर्जी भित्रदेखि मसँग भइरहेको सिद्धिरहेको एउटा चाहिँ इनर्जीलाई ठ्याक्क दियो त्यो झर्दाखेरिको चाहिँ मेरो माइन्ड पुरै रिसेट भइदियो जस्तो भयो क्या केही पनि छैन म एकदमै एकदम नील मसँग केही पनि छैन रित्तियो सकियो मैले सबै चिज छोडिदिएर म झरिसकेको थिएँ हाम फालिसकेको थिएँ तर पुगेर ठ्याक्क तानेर ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो एउटा मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लाइफको चाहिँ एकदम इन्जोयफुल मुभमेन्ट हो जसले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ आजको दिनसम्म अझ धेरै उत्प्रेरणाहरू जगाएको एउटा मुभमेन्ट हो त्यो मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लागि एकदम मेमोरियल पनि छ
Dilip and Cecir's jump was more than a thrill. It was a loud scream demanding change, a call for accessible tourism.
एक्सेसिबिलिटीकै कुराहरू हुन्छ क्या हजुरको जस्तो अब मैले पोखरामा प्याराग्लाइडिङ गर्दाखेरि कायाकिङ गर्दाखेरि हैन अप्पर मुस्ताङ चाहिँ हजुरको चाहिँ त्यो अफ रोड गाडीमै जाँदाखेरिको कुराहरूमा चाहिँ अलिकति एक्सेसेबल अलिकति हामीलाई चाहिँ पहुँचयुक्त चाहिँ ठाउँहरू भएदेखि अलिकति सजिलो हुन्थ्यो भनौँ न अब यो झोलुङ्गे पुलहरूबाट गरिन्छ हैन त्यहाँ चाहिँ हल्का र्याम्प के जस्तो व्हिलचेयरकै लागि पनि एउटा स्ट्र्याप राख्दाखेरि त काठको एउटा भनौँ न त्यो फ्लोरिङ जस्तै टाइपले गरिदियो भने त हेल्प गर्ने असिस्ट गर्नेलाई पनि सजिलो हुने अनि हामीलाई पनि सजिलो हुने चाहिँ हुन्छ
The people and wildlife of the Everest region are facing profound challenges due to the melting glaciers, erratic weather patterns, altered rainfall cycles, and escalating temperatures. Shrinking glaciers are the growing expanse of glacial lakes in the Himalayas, heightening the threat of sudden and catastrophic disasters. According to a study conducted by ICIMOD and UNDP, out of 1,466 glacial lakes in the country, 21 have been identified as potentially dangerous, of which 6 have been placed in the high-risk category, such as Lake Imza in Solukhumbu district. Rapid glacial melting, glacial lake outbursts, and unusual flooding are rare phenomena in the Everest region. A team of science journalists from Nepal, India, Bhutan, and Bangladesh undertook a 12-day journey from Kathmandu to Everest Base Camp to report on the impact of climate change on the base camp and its surroundings. It is a unique and once-in-a-lifetime experience for the journalists. Flights in the mountainous regions are naturally difficult and can be intimidating. Even so, the participants of Himalayan Climate Bootcamp 2024 are excited to experience this unique once-in-a-lifetime journey.
We are excited.
Yes.
Yes.
Very excited. Now excited.
The plane finally touched down at Tenzing Hillary Airport in Lukla, situated at an altitude of 2,846 meters and widely regarded as the world's most dangerous airport. Upon arrival, the picturesque Himalayan market, Lukla eagerly greeted us. Located in Khumbu Pasanglamu rural municipality, Lukla served as a key starting point for the Everest Base Camp trek. The Sherpa community, prominent in the Everest region, includes individuals who hold world record in Everest climbing. The goal of the Boot Camp 2024 was to produce a report on the impact of climate change, covering a journey from Lukla to Everest Base Camp, located at an altitude of 5,364 meters. A group of 19 comprising science journalists, mentors, and 6 Sherpas assistants have begun the trek along the trail. As a group, people pass through Himalayan villages. They engage with locals, government officials, Nepal Army, guides, porters, and tourists, gathering fresh insight about the Everest region.
It was a really good experience. It was really cold, but not that hard.
On the first day of the boot camp, we overcame every obstacle to reach Monjo at 2,835 meters in the Dukkosi Valley. We passed through Phakding, which is at 2,610 meters. After walking for more than 6 hours from Lukla, the team members were exhausted. Each evening, program directors, mentors, and participant journalists would sit together to casually discuss the day's experience and plan the schedule for the next day. Data collection and interviews were carefully organized during these meetings. Informal conversation and interactions with locals played a key role in the bootcamp.
We are going to interact with stakeholders. That means you may know about the environmental issues, garbage, and other things. So, Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, SPCC, that is the key stakeholder in the region.
To mark World Press Freedom Day on May 3rd, an interactive program was held at Sagarmatha National Park, focusing on the importance of press freedom for science journalists. The event brought together local Sherpa business people, environment activists, government officials, representatives from Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, the park warden, political leaders, and trekking guides, among others.
7,000 को हाराहारीमा छ population 7,000 population 7,500 त्यस्तै हाराहारीमा छ गाउँ चाहिँ कतिवटा छ ठ्याक्कै 10 मा मोटामोटी त्यही 12-15 वटा गाउँहरु छन्
तो आपके इसमें भी ऐसे बफर जोन रहता है
बफर
कोर एरिया रहता है कोर में अलाउड नहीं है पर बफर में रह सकते
हैं no there is the village inside the core also as well as in the buffer also okay this modality is totally different from the modality of Tarai and the national park which you said that is right India.
The discussion centered on the press freedom and the impact of climate change on the livelihoods of the people in the Himalayan region. The next morning after breakfast, we visited Kancha Sherpa, member of Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa's Everest expedition team.
Group ko leader John.
यहाँ छेउमै रुख छ रुख काटेर 10 रुख भयो बेस क्याम्प गयो बेस क्याम्प पुगेपछि अनि आइस बलमा त्यो रुखको साङ्गो थापेर अनि हामी क्याम्प 1 बनायो अनि त्यही क्याम्प 1 भनेपछि चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट अनि सबै सजिलो छ अनि त्यसो गरेर क्याम्प 2 मा सबै सी लेभल छ क्याम्प 3 मा पनि दुःख छैन अनि क्याम्प 4 मा चाहिँ अनि साउथ कोन हो अनि हामी त्यसो गरेर अनि एभरेस्ट चढेको हामी चाहिँ गएन अनि हेलेर र तेन्जिङ चाहिँ हामीले साउथ समिटमा पुर्यायो अक्सरहरू भयो र पालाहरू भयो र माथि साउथ समिटमा पुर्याएर हामी चाहिँ साउथ खोलमा सुन्न आयो.
Afterwards, we headed to the picturesque Himalayan villages of Kumzung, situated at 3,800 meters. Development of Kumzung began after the historic 1953 Everest climb by Hillary and Norgay. With the establishment of Kunde Hospital and Kumzung School by Hillary, there was significant improvements in health, education, and the overall livelihood of the local community. The team walked along steep trails, greeted by blooming rhododendrons, and reached Tengbote at 3,867 meters on the 4th day, where they spent the night. On the 5th day, they continued their journey, noticing changes in the Himalayas as the snow-covered peaks were now turning black. On the way to Dingboche at 4,410 meters, snowfall greeted them. To acclimatize to the altitude, the team stayed in Dingboche on the 6th day. On the 7th day, they moved on to Lobuche, crossing the steep Thukpa Pass. In the evening, they reached the Pyramid International Laboratory and Observatory in Lobuche at 5,060 meters, the world's highest altitude laboratory. During this, they also had an insightful interaction session with an international glaciologist, learning about the changes at Everest Base Camp.
Here in the region, with the French, we measure the Mera Glacier up until the peak. So we have stakes, we make a hole in the ice, we put a stake, and then next year we come and we measure how much that stake has emerged. And that's how much the surface of the glacier has lowered, and that corresponds to what the glacier has lost that year. And at the same time, we go to the upper part and we measure accumulation. So an interesting thing is that in the last 2 years, there has not been accumulation at the top of Mera Peak. That is 6,400 meters up and there's no accumulation. And that means that the glaciers are not getting fed up, they are just losing ice.
On the 8th day, the team arrived at Everest Base Camp at 5,364 meters and held an interaction with government officials.
I think this is a good initiation in the field of journalism science. Even without investing much more dollar money, nobody can come in the area.
The discussion focused on the relocating the base camp, waste management and the melting glaciers.
Finally, we made it to the base camp. Everest Base Camp is an altitude of 5,364 meters and is the part of the Himalayan Climate Boot Camp. And we have 13 journalists from different countries, especially from the SAARC region. From Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal, and is the historic event, and is the first event that journalists have came from the sea level to the highest level to conduct a boot camp, and we have a very lifetime experience, and we observed different issues like glacier melting, status of base camp, Everest Base Camp, and we met different stakeholders like climbers, government officials, and we have the concluding ceremony in the base camp, and we have government officials, Mr. Himlal Gautam.
On the 9th morning, the team headed back to Pangboche. On the 10th day, they arrived in Monjo. Upon returning to Lukla, they engaged in the conversation with climbers, local teachers, female guides, and
at an altitude of 2,860 meters, Lukla is the starting point of arguably one of the best trekking routes in the world, up to the Mount Everest Base Camp, finishing above 5,400 meters. Ram is one of hundreds of seasonal porters in the route.
अब यो त मान्छेलाई पनि यस्तै हो सजिलो त सर यो किनभने हिलो हुँदैन बेस क्याम्प जाँदा अब क्याम्पको 1000 रुपैयाँ हुन्छ डबल बारी बोकेर अब 2-3 क्याम्प जति हिँडिन्छ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ 5000 जति बच्छ.
The route is popular, in fact crowded. This is only for the 2 months of April and May, and so is the profession of Ram a seasonal affair.
अब कुनै खेर पाइन्छ कुनै खेर पाइँदैन मान्छे यतिकै हुन्छ त अब कुनै खेर त अब 4-5 दिन यतिकै बसेकै बजारतिर आयो घुम्यो यतिकै फेरि कोठामा फर्केर आयो अब बाकी खाना खादै बस्यो त्यस्तै हो सर. विदेश जाउँ त अब लाग्छ जानुलाई पनि फेरि अलिक गाह्रै छ पैसा चाहिन्छ अब पैसा छैन. त्यो पेसामा पढाइ चाहिँ पुरुषहरू नै हुन्छ महिलाहरू पनि आधी उधी हुन्छ सर. बिहानदेखि कहिले अब घाम लागिरहेको हुन्छ एकछिनमा यस्तो बादल आइहाल्छ डुममा भइहाल्छ. यहाँको मौसम यस्तै हो सर. पढेको भए त बाँकी अब सानोतिनो जबहरू हुन्थ्यो कि.
Trekkers pass through nearly 6-7 small hamlets along the Lukla-Namche section of the route.
यहाँ सबै घरमा बिजुली पानीको राम्रो व्यवस्था छ सर।
The locals do not have infrastructures or might have resected roads, but they have embraced development.
नाम चाहिँ लुक्ला सबै बाटोभरि नै फोहोर राख्ने बाटो राखिदिनु भएको छ।
The topography is inhospitable, but the people are friendly.
यहाँ हरेक गाउँको आफ्नो आफ्नै हाइड्रो बिजुली निकाल्ने पावर छ।
Solar panels give much needed warm water to survive the cold. No wonder everything comes at a cost here. Charging a cell phone or getting a Wi-Fi connection.
पहिला साह्रै दुःख पाइयो, मम्मी सानैमा बित्यो अनि पढ्नै पाएन। यस्तो दुःख गर्नु परेछ। अब छोराछोरीलाई चाहिँ यस्तो दुःख गरेर भए पनि पढाउँछु। अङ्ग्रेजी बोल्ने भए त अब कति अब खैराहरू भेट्छन्। हिजो पनि 4 जना भेटे थियो फाल्टो ग्रुप। अब अङ्ग्रेजी बोल्न जानिदैन, त्यही भएर पठाइदियो। ल अब यहाँ चाहिँ खाना खाने ठाउँ हो, यहाँ खाना खानु पर्यो।
हजुर सबभन्दा धेरै थुक्पा नै हो, किनभने अरू खाजा पनि जान्छ नि त, जानु त बनायो भने जान्छ, तर त्यो सकिहालेन भने फेरि त्यो बिग्रिन्छ के अमिलो।
Food is no more cooked in firewood like in the past, despite LP gas cylinders arriving either on humans' back or the beast of burdens. Our first day trek concludes at Phakding, a small hamlet at an altitude of 2,610 meters. Almost all trekkers lodge here on the first day to acclimatize themselves for higher elevations. The place has amenities for travelers at par with an urban town, except roads and infrastructures.
यहाँ यो फलामको चिम्नी नभएको त गरै हुँदैन सर। यहाँ त फलामको चिम्नी भएन भने त जाडोले मरिहाल्छ।
As the dawn breaks, Ram emerges from his overnight elopement for lodging.
अब जाने होला सर उकालो। यो अलिक सपना बिग्रियो अनि त्यति राम्रो सुतेन। सपनामा त खै कस्तो अचम्मको सपना देख्यो। सपनामा चाहिँ बुढी चाहिँ अर्कैसँग गाएको देखेको। खै केही कुरामा चाहिँ डिस्केस भएको जस्तो भयो अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ कपडा सपडा प्याक गरेर हिँडेको सपना देख्यो। के गर्न सकिएन, खै कहिले के गर्ने हो मान्छे। बुढी राम्रो छ, सपना चाहिँ त्यस्तो देख्यो, कस्तो अचम्म लाग्यो। बुढी फेरि मभन्दा ठुलो छ कि, मभन्दा त राम्रै पनि छ, ठुलो पनि छ। त्यस्तो सपना देख्दा चाहिँ कुनै खेर चाहिँ अब डर पनि लाग्छ क्या। बा पछि अब छोडेर हिँडिने हो कि अब आफूसँग केही नभएपछि त होइन, बा अब हिँडिने हो कि जस्तो पनि लाग्छ। यो सागो हो, यो सागो चाहिँ काठको बनाएको। यो बर्खामा ठुलो पानी आउँछ, ठुलो खोला हुँदाखेरि त बगाएर लगिहाल्छ, फेरि बनाउँछ। यो चाहिँ पारी घाँस दाउराको लागि बनाउँछ।
The Kumbh region has more than a dozen suspension and concrete bridges to safely cross the Dudh Kosi, meaning Milk White Kosi and its tributaries. As we continue our steep climb towards Namche Bazaar, we pass through freshly felled pine trees.
यो चाहिँ घरको लागि काठ काटेको हो। यो घरको काठ काट्दाखेरि चाहिँ यो निस्केको दाउरा हो सर। यो दाउरा अब सधैँभरि फुल्दैन, कुनै बेला फुल्दाखेरि चाहिँ काट्ने हो।
Only permitted numbers are cut every year, while the locals do not forget to grow pine saplings in their backyard to replace the cut ones. This is the entry point of Sagarmatha National Park, a buffer zone guarded by Nepal Army. The small hamlet of around 200 houses is no less than a modern town. As we venture around the next morning with Ram, we not only discover Ram's free-of-cost night laws, but also a secret tavern where porters gather to gamble.
टुरिस्टै आएन भने त अब यहाँ त अब गाह्रो छ नि सर अब आलु मात्रै फलाएर अब के खानु यहाँ त्यो पनि अब आलु धेर फल्दैन कम फल्छ टुरिस्टै आएन भने त धेरै गाह्रो छ सर अब छनु त छ कि अझ योभन्दा राम्रो योभन्दा नि अब राम्रो अब घरहरू बनाओस् राम्रो सरसफाइ होस् अब राम्रो सुविधा होस् न त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ आउँछ यहाँ त अब त्यस्तो मोटरहरू आयो भने त फेरि हामीलाई गाह्रो भइहाल्छ नि सर अब हामी फेरि अब हामी पोटरहरू फेरि त्यत्तिकै हुन्छ बेरोजगार हुन्छ अब हाम्रो त अब खै जिन्दगी त अब यस्तोले त अब गाह्रै हो तर अब के गर्नु त सर अब खासै अब केही अब गर्ने बाटै छैन हाम्रो अब यही नै हो हाम्रो त
A phone call from Lukla upsets us more than Ram, as he misses a much better opportunity to accompany trekkers to the base camp. The weather remains unfavorable as we fail to catch a glimpse over the Mount Everest. With a bit of dejection for not being able to see the roof of the world, we start our journey back to Lukla. On the way, Ram gives us a good news. He got another lucrative trip.
अब चाहिँ अलिक चाँडो जानु पर्ला हो सर अब आजै म फेरि फर्केर नाम्ची पुग्नु पर्ने छ.
Back at Lukla, Ram prepares himself for the 14-day trip to the base camp with high hopes for making decent earning. It's time to part now, as Ram bids us goodbye in a haste in Lukla to make his dream come true. A roof for his wife and education for his little princess.
US President Donald Trump said the United States may meet Iranian officials and was in contact with the opposition as he mulls over a range of strong responses, including military options to a violent crackdown on Iranian protests, which pose one of the biggest challenges to clerical rule since the 1979's Islamic Revolution. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Monday, in a briefing to foreign ambassadors in Tehran, said the government is ready for war, but also for a dialogue. Trump has warned Iran's leaders that the US would attack if security forces opened fire on protesters. Trump said on Sunday that Iran had called to negotiate its nuclear program, which Israel and the US bombed in a 12-day war in June.
It's starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
US-based rights group HRANA said it had verified the deaths of 490 protesters and 48 security personnel, with more than 10,600 people arrested. Iranian parliament's speaker Mohammad Bakar Kaliva warned Washington against a miscalculation. The protest began on December the 28th in response to soaring prices before turning against the clerical rulers who have governed since the 1979's Islamic Revolution. Iranians who are struggling to make ends meet have grown increasingly resentful of the powerful revolutionary guards whose business interest includes oil and gas, construction, telecommunications, and that are worth billions of dollars. Meanwhile, oil prices extended gains on Monday on growing concerns that intensifying protests in Iran could disrupt supply from the OPEC producer, although efforts to quickly resume oil exports from Venezuela are limiting price gains. US President Donald Trump has urged Cuba to make a deal or face consequences, warning that the flow of Venezuelan oil and money would now stop. The US President has been turning his attention to Cuba since US forces seized Venezuela's leader Nicolas Maduro in a 3rd January raid on its capital. Venezuela, a long-standing ally of Cuba's, believed to send around 35,000 barrels of oil a day to the island, but Trump had said this will end. Trump did not specify the terms of a deal or the consequences Cuba could face. He also referred the raid to seize Maduro and his wife Celia Flores were facing drug trafficking and other charges. Cuba has for years supplied Maduro with his personal security detail. The Cuban government said 32 of its nationals were killed during the U.S. operation in the Venezuelan capital, Caracas. The Cuban government is yet to respond to Trump's latest threats, but President Miguel Diaz-Canel previously said the 32 brave Cuban combatants who died in Venezuela would be honored. The Cuban government is yet to respond to Trump's latest threats, but its president previously said the 32 brave Cuban combatants who died in Venezuela would be honored. While the Trump administration has not stated clear plans for Cuba, the U.S. president has previously said that a military intervention is necessary because the country is ready to fall. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio indicated last week that Cuba's leaders should be worried, saying that he would be concerned if he was in the Cuban government and that they are in a lot of trouble. The Trump administration's tactic of confiscating sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers has already begun to worsen a fuel and electricity crisis in Cuba. The last fighters from the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces (SDF) have left the Syrian city of Aleppo, according to officials, following a ceasefire deal that allowed evacuation after days of deadly clashes in Syria's second-largest city. Aleppo's governor Azam al-Gharib early on Sunday said that Aleppo has become empty of SDF fighters after government forces coordinated their withdrawal on buses out of the city overnight. SDF's commander Mazlum Kovani said the group had reached an understanding through international mediation on a ceasefire and the safe evacuation of the civilians and fighters. The development came after the Syrian army took over the Kurdish majority neighborhood of Sheikh Maskud following days of clashes that broke out when talks to integrate the SDF into the national army collapsed. At least 30 people were killed in the clashes, while more than 150,000 were displaced. With the fall of former President Bashar al-Assad's government in late 2024, the US has also built close ties with the rebel commander who became Syria's interim leader, Ahmad al-Sarraj. The Syrian president met US President Donald Trump at the White House last year and has formally joined the US-led coalition against IS. The fighting in Aleppo began on Tuesday in the predominantly Kurdish neighborhoods of Sheikh Maksud, Ashrafia, and Bani Jaid, amid tensions over a failure to implement a March 2025 agreement to reintegrate the Kurdish forces into state institutions. About 550,000 accounts were blocked by Meta during the first days of Australia's landmark social media ban for kids. In December, a new law began requiring that the world's most popular social media sites, including Instagram and Facebook, stop Australians aged under 16 from having accounts on their platforms. The ban, which is being watched closely around the world, was justified by campaigners and the government as necessary to protect children from harmful content and algorithms. Companies, including Meta, have said they agree more is needed to keep young children safe online. The company said it blocked 330,639 accounts on Instagram, 173,497 on Facebook, and 39,916 on Threads during its first week of compliance with the new law. Various governments from the US state of Florida to the European Union have been experimenting with limiting children's use of social media. But along with the higher age limit of 16, Australia is the first jurisdiction to deny an exemption for parental approval in a policy like this, making its laws the world's most strict one. However, concerns also have been raised that Australian kids can circumvent the ban with relative ease, either by tricking the technology that's performing the age checks or by finding other potentially less safe places on the internet to gather. Severe blizzards with strong winds have hit areas along the Sea of Japan as snow is predicted to blanket a wide area from northern to southwestern Japan through Monday. A strong winter pressure pattern and a cold air mass are bringing snow to regions from Hokkaido through Kyushu. Winds of 109 km per hour were recorded at Oki Airport in Shimane Prefecture, western Japan on Sunday. 13 centimeters of snow fell in the city of Wakkanai in Hokkaido on Sunday. Up to 80 centimeters of snow is predicted to fall in mountainous areas of the Tohoku region and the prefectures of Niigata and Gifu. The weather is causing traffic disruptions. Japan Railway companies say some train services have been cancelled, mainly in Tohoku and Hokuriku. All Nippon Airways and Japan Airlines also cancelled some flights. Many of them are services connecting the Sanin region or Hokuriku with other regions. The airlines say more flights may be cancelled depending on weather conditions. China's AS-700 manned airship completed its maiden commercial flight in central China's Hubei province, marking a milestone as the nation's first domestic airship to enter commercial operation. The AS-700 took off from Wuhan Hanan Airport. During its low-altitude debut, the airship performed demonstration flights over several urban districts before returning safely to its base. The airship is distinguished by its low altitude and low speed flight profile, combined with high safety and exceptional stability, while offering a maximum range of 700 kilometers and an endurance of up to 10 hours with a service ceiling of 3,000 meters. In December 2025, the Civil Aviation Administration of China's Central and Southern Regional Administration issued an operating certificate for the making it China's first enterprise authorized to conduct commercial manned airship operations. 75 Hindu couples from across Pakistan were married on Sunday in a mass wedding ceremony held in the southern port city of Karachi, organized by Pakistan Hindu Council to support couples from low-income families. Family members and guests attended the ceremony, which was conducted according to traditional Hindu rituals. The council covered key expenses including wedding attire, meals, and basic household items for the newlyweds. Community leaders say such ceremonies help promote social inclusion and provide relief to marginalized communities by enabling couples to begin married life with dignity. Organizers say the initiative has been running for several years and is funded through donations from individuals and charities. Officials from the Pakistan Hindu Council say the program also aims to strengthen community bonds and highlight interfaith harmony in the country. More than 100 people boarded the London Underground on Sunday wearing coats, shoes and underwear but no trousers, taking part in the 2026 edition of the annual No Trousers Tube Ride. The event, organized as a light-hearted public stunt, saw participants travel across several lines of the UK's capital transport network, drawing surprise reactions from commuters. Retiree Barry, another participant, said he was unfazed by the attention. The No Trousers Tube Ride is part of a global series of similar events held in major cities aimed at injecting humor into everyday public spaces. Organizers said the event was conducted peacefully, with participants instructed to behave normally and respect other passengers. Transport authorities reported no disruption to underground services during the stunt. The annual event has grown in popularity over the years, attracting both locals and tourists. High school students in Turkey transformed school corridors into a living museum by carving replicas of the ancient Orhun inscriptions. As part of the Richness of Language project, the Orhun inscriptions, the first known written legacy of Turkish history, have been brought to life at Fatiha Anatolian High School. Students and teachers dedicated 3 months to meticulously carving the ancient text into stones, creating faithful replicas of the monuments. The project involved crafting 1.5-meter tall stone blocks, which underwent aging and coloring processes to resemble the originals. The initiative aims to provide a visual and tangible connection to the Turkish history, moving beyond theoretical learning. The finished monuments are now exhibited in the school corridors, effectively turning the educational space into a museum and allowing students to closely examine their cultural heritage. Visitors in Hong Kong were treated to an unexpected visual feast this weekend as a vibrant parade of balloons took to the streets, drawing crowds of all ages. The event, organized by the Hong Kong Tourism Board in collaboration with local cultural groups, featured dozens of creatively designed balloons in a variety of colors and shapes, ranging from traditional symbols to modern artistic creations. Spectators lined key city streets to catch a glimpse of the parade, which was accompanied by live music and street performances. City officials reported that over 50,000 visitors attended the parade. The event is part of the series of initiatives aimed at boosting local tourism and promoting public engagement in urban cultural activities. Authorities emphasized that safety measures were strictly observed, including crowd management and road closures along the parade route, ensuring a smooth experience for participants and viewers alike. The balloon parade is scheduled to return next year, with organizers hinting at even more elaborate displays and interactive attractions.
Paul Thomas Anderson's ragtag revolutionary saga, One Battle After Another, took top honors at Sunday's 83rd Golden Globes in the comedy category, while Chloe Zhao's Shakespeare drama Hamnet upset Sinners to win Best Film Drama. One Battle After Another won Best Film Comedy, supporting female actor for Teyana Taylor, and Best Director and Best Screenplay for Anderson. The director became just the second filmmaker to sweep director, screenplay, and film at the Globes. Only Oliver Stone, for Born on the 4th of July, managed the same feat. In an awards ceremony that went almost entirely as expected, the night's final award was the most surprising. While One Battle After Another has been the clear frontrunner this awards season, most have pegged Ryan Coogler's Jim Crow-era vampire thriller as its closest competition. But Hamnet, a speculative drama about William and Agnes Shakespeare based on Maggie O'Farrell's bestseller, won in the dramatic category shortly after its star, Jessie Buckley, won Best Female Actor in a Drama. Sinners still won for Best Score and Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. The win for box office and cinematic achievement over franchise films like Avatar, Fire and Ash was notable for Sinners, a movie that some reports labeled a qualified success on its release. Streaming sensation K-pop Demon Hunters won Best Animated Film, a meta triumph for Seth Rogen's The Studio.
Teyana Taylor.
Teyana Taylor winning. What a year for Teyana Taylor, winning her first Golden Globe. She said that she...
Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Bishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy, and later the Jaya Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump. So the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Turikhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players. "45 minutes flight across 214 kilometers, we landed at the Simikot airport. It was a great relief to land in Simikot for us, who had spent few days in hot Nepalganj. The cool breeze welcomed us to our great expectations. According to locals, Simikot got its name with the combination of Simi and Kot. Indeed, it is the combination of Sim meaning wetland and Kot meaning green meadow. Simikot is a major point for pilgrims traveling to Mount Kailas and Mansarovar in Tibet via Hilsa. This is the easiest way to the Mansarovar, and thus many Indian pilgrims are seen here.
मेन त यो हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ तपाईको अब भनौं न अब कैलाश मानसरोवरकै गेटवे भएकोले एउटा यहाँ आउने भयो। अब हामीलाई पनि अब भनौं न तपाईको हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ अब तपाईको यो सदरमुकाम हो, मेन ल्यान्डिङ पोइन्ट हो हैन। अब यहाँबाट तपाईको पर्यटकहरुलाई जस्तै हाम्रो यहाँ रलिङ गुम्बाहरु छ, खारबन्दात मन्दिरहरु छ हैन। जस्तै यहाँ तपाईको एकदम के भन्छ प्राकृतिक सुन्दरताहरु हेर्ने ठाउँहरु थुप्रै छ। किनभने हामीले त्यो ठाउँहरुलाई चाहिँ फोकस गर्न नसकेर बाहिर ल्याउन नसकेर मात्र हो। अब ल्याउन सक्यो भने पर्यटनहरु आवश्यक नै बढी मात्रामा बढ्छ भन्ने आशा छ।
We arrived Simikot with a throng of travelers to Humla comprising some domestic and foreign tourists. Soon our team became a cozy group of travelers. We traveled together to Limi of Namkha, among the 7 rural municipalities of the district: Semikot, Namkha, Kharpunath, Changkheli, Sarkegard, Adnacholi and Tanjakot. The jeep ride in the gravelled road is some kind of experience in this majestic terrain. However, we were disturbed by the landslides at various places of the rural road and left to travel on foot. We arrived at Chaudan Foya after a few hours of walk, but our overnight stay was still a few hours trek to Dharapuri. We stopped at many places on our way just to capture the natural beauty of the place and feel the magic in the air. These hills and the spontaneous Karnali river kept inspiring us. And on the way we see many stories of hope, determination and struggle of the locals. It was almost dusk, but our destination was still at some distance. So we increased our pace along with the local children accompanying us. We are thankful to these kids, without whom we would not have been able to know some of the very well-known places on the way. Almost 8:30 in the evening, we were still struggling to find the house where we were supposed to spend the night. Now our team was no more intact, as all had their own arrangements in small groups. We had no option but to find a place to rest for the night. We were overwhelmed by the humility and warmth of the local people. They offered a bunch of unknown travelers food and accommodation with open heart. This reminded us of the slogan, "Guest is God," in real terms. Not the most affluent of the societies, but very welcoming at heart. In need, but have the humility. Poverty-ridden, but full of humanity. We salute the rural folks who mess around the year in this inhospitable terrain for survival. The next morning, we all get together. Our next destination was Kermi. The whistling sound of Karnali flowing down somewhere, the rocky hills and the small trails like ropes attached in these hills. Risky and dangerous. Not the best of conditions for trekking, but that's where the thrill is. That's where the adventure is. The waterfalls and ponds on the way relieve us from our fatigue instantly. Chachara is one of the biggest waterfalls in this place. The soothing touch of the crystal clear water of the fall is refreshing. Our lunch was at Dade Kermi, where small tents were set up by the locals to serve food and some rest for travelers. The Chinese stoves used here are smokeless and must have eased the life of the rural folks to a larger extent. We had seen these types of stoves in Dharapuri as well. Before starting another long day of trek after lunch, we had a little rest here. Our journey to Limi is still a long way to finish. We also did not get any chance of hitchhiking as no vehicle was plying on the road due to landslide obstructions. Our journey was getting arduous by the hour, but we did not miss the chance to enjoy the natural wonder of the region. Agriculture and cattle are the main profession of the people here. People raise yaks in this rugged terrain, though they have to migrate in winter to find better grazing land locally called kharka for their prized possessions. We found herds of yaks at different places on the way. We even stopped at one of these grazing camps for a cup of tea. This place is called Lashing. The tea served here is special with ghee and salt added for extra energy in the cold temperature. No wonder some of us were enjoying this tea for the first time. To our great relief, we got the news that a goods-laden truck was heading towards Limi from Tibet of China. However, we still had some distance to cover to catch the truck. We all wanted to rush with the hope to reach there in time to get a lift. At the moment, we are at Chanso, where there is not enough place for our jumbo team to spend the night. Finally, we decided to spend the night in Chanso itself, as the way ahead was more difficult and riskier. Two families had set up their yak camps here and living in two tents. Our big team had to divide and accommodate in these two tents for the night. We squeezed in for the night anyhow. It's a beautiful morning with bright blue sky, surrounded by tall hills, waterfalls and the whistling Karnali. It was nothing less than a piece of heaven on earth. We mingled with the locals for some times.
गाह्रै छ पानी पनि यहाँ समस्या छ यो दाउरा पनि समस्या छ यहाँ गाह्रै छ गाह्रो त यस पुल पनि समस्या छ यहाँ नराम्रो ठाउँमा बसेको छ यहाँ चिसो ठाउँमा यस्तो समस्या छ नि।
यहाँ हामीसँग धेरै चुनौतीहरू पनि छ, जस्तै एक्सेसको कुरा गर्ने हो भने रोड राम्रो बनिसकेको छैन, अनि त्यसपछि तपाईँको सञ्चारहरू छैन, बाटोमा टी सपहरू छैन। त्यसपछि त्यही अनुसार जस्तै टुरिज्म व्यवसायको लागि चाहिएको तपाईँको के भन्छ यो के अरे ह्युमन रिसोर्सहरू पनि राम्रोसँग दक्ष छैन हैन।
We had to climb up to the altitude of 4,800 meters to reach Limi. We decided to travel on horses as we were too tired to walk now. We managed horses for our team and set out on our way. We stopped at a beautiful natural pond, locally known as Selima. No one has dared to measure the depth of this pond till date. No one is aware of the mathematics of this ancient natural lake. We also moved ahead with the enthusiasm as to why. No one knows it. 2 hours on the horseback, we arrive at Nyalul Langna at an altitude of 4,800 meters above sea level. Surrounded by white mountains and hills, we found 2 Chinese trucks ready to leave for Limi. It took some effort to climb onto these huge carriers. Around 100 people had boarded on each truck. The local people were also waiting for the truck to depart like we were. The graveled road and overloaded trucks. The ride was not very comfortable, but we did not have much option either to move ahead. After around 5 hours rough ride, we arrived at Halji village of Limi. Three villages, Tili, Halji and Jang, were collectively called Limi. It was almost evening by the time we reached Halji. The sight of Karnali snaking between the hills, symmetrical houses, green meadows, and the hearty welcome of the locals relieved of our fatigue. Cattle, farming and trade were the main profession of the Denizens of Halji. Yak, growing uwa, a special grain used in making liquor, and traveling to and from Taklakut via Hilsa for trade is part of their life for the locals. Despite the beauty of this magical land, it's far away from tourism. Hardly 50 tourists from outside set their foot on this area every year. The millennium-old Halji monastery, built by Locha Warinche Samo, is the pride of this place. Monk Samo had built this monastery as the last of his 108 structures around the world. Monk Samo is believed to have died while constructing this monastery. The ancient heritage, at the risk of landslide, awaits preservation and promotion.
दायाँको त्यहाँ पहिरोको डर छ यहाँ हैन त्यहाँ बायाँको त्यही डोरीको दुख छ त्यही ढुङ्गाको धेरै दुख छ बिचमा खानु पाउनको पेटको दुख छ यहाँ धेरै आवश्यक छ के छ यहाँ गुम्बा विधानमा त्यही सबै ती पुरानो लिङ्ग मूर्तिकुटी माटोमा लिगेर ती बिग्री जान्छ
We had the opportunity to see the local culture and lifestyle during our trek in Limi. What impressed us the most was the dress, including local bakhu, sonba, chino and quinoa bread. Mount Kailas and the Mansarovar in China are clearly visible from Lapcha of Limi. 7 to 8 hours of truck ride from Halji, we can reach there. We were very much eager to see the Mansarovar and Mount Kailas, so we went to Limi. But to our bad luck, the weather did not help us. We waited for some time for the weather to clear, but there was no sign whatsoever, and we returned disappointed. Had the weather been kind, this was the sight we would have been able to see. Our journey to Limi thus ended on a sad note. We head back to Simikot and Nepalganj and finally to Kathmandu. Back in Kathmandu, every scene and sight we saw on the way is coming back in flashback. Being in this place itself is a treat to the eyes and mind. You forget all the fatigue and physical pain once you reach in this oasis. Undoubtedly, Humla, bordering Mugu, Bachura, Bazan and China towards the north, is a piece of heaven on earth. In the natural splendor, the silver-like peaks or the Himalayas glisten. cradling a pond filled with milk in its lap. The Numbur Himal gleams. The Dudkunda, meaning a milk pond in Nepal's northeastern district of Solukhumbu, is truly the gateway to the paradise. The Numbur, Khatang and Karyalung mountains seem to smile at all times. Adorned with a garland of colorful flowers, the Dudkunda is overflowing as if filled with milk. The very sight defines nature at its best. Feels as if the Numbur mountain is giving motherly affection, holding the lake in its lap. The beauty is so serene and virgin that one fears not to stain it by touching. Indeed, Dudkunda is nature at its purest form. Located at Solu Dudkunda municipality, Taksindu, the natural paradise draws many visitors. No matter how many words are spent describing it, they all feel inadequate upon reaching there. The name itself is fulfilling and equally sacred.
हजारौं नरनारीहरू चाहिँ तीर्थयात्रीहरू दुधकुण्डमा जानुभएको छ। म पनि पुगेर आएँ। दुधकुण्ड असाध्यै पवित्र स्थल, यो हिमाल काखमा रहेको तीर्थस्थल हो, पुण्यस्थल हो, देवस्थल हो र त्यहाँ चाहिँ एकचोटि पुग्नै पर्दो रहेछ। त्यहाँ पुगेर जुन आनन्दको अनुभूति हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ कहीँ पनि पाइँदैन भन्ने चाहिँ महसुस भयो।
आनन्द लाग्यो, मस्त लाग्यो अनि यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ आएर तपस्या गरेर बस्नु जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई।
एकदमै राम्रो लाग्यो हैन, प्रकृतिले दिएको रमणीय तीर्थस्थल हैन, जो कोही पनि एकचोटि चाहिँ यहाँ आएर एकचोटि भ्रमण गरेर दर्शन गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्यो।
Situated at an altitude of 4,531 meters above the sea level, Dudkunda is a sacred pilgrimage site of culture and nature. It feels like nature has blessed this place, and culturally, it has bound all castes and ethnicities in a thread of unity. There are various legends and sayings about Dudkunda. One argument is that the pond was formed during the creation of the Himalayas and was discovered by local sheep and yak herders. According to another legend, in ancient times, a yak would go to a stone where the pond is located and offer its milk every day. Later, the place was found to be a pond filled with milk, leading to its name, Dudkunda. This has also led to the belief that gods and goddesses reside here. There are 3 different routes to reach Dudkunda. One route is through Salleri, Faplu, Taksindu and Sasra Beni. Another route goes via Lukla, the gateway to the Everest, through Nunthala, Taksindu and Sahasra Beni. Nature has truly blessed the Solu Dudkunda municipality. Truly, just like the majestic Mount Everest, Dudkunda has the potential to be the destination for everyone in the days to come. It is a thread of unity among all castes and ethnicities. Just like the holy water of Dudkunda, it will become a pure and excellent destination.
At every bend of the serpentine Bheri River, a new face of nature emerges. Each turn revealing a beauty so varied and mesmerizing that it moves the heart moment by moment. Traveling from Chinchu of Surkhet through Jare and Mehelkuna toward Gorbakot, the Bheri displays its quiet miracles. Over its crystal blue flow drifts the rustle and chirping of dozens of birds. The whisper of nearby trees merges with the vast blue sky, reflecting a harmony of natural splendor. Cutting through Chinchu, heading along the proud and scenic terrain of Gorbakot, our thoughts find themselves racing steadily along the Madan Bhandari highway toward Lake Besi in Surkhet. Our destination, the Raute settlement. We seek to observe closely the lifestyle of this indigenous group, long perceived as distant. We hope to feel a sense of closeness with a community rarely encountered, where the Raute, in their most authentic form, stand before us to share their stories. The Raute have cultivated a unique identity as Nepal's nomadic ethnic group. If someone in their settlement dies, they immediately abandon that location and do not return for 10 years, a tradition that makes permanent settlement extremely challenging. Their temporary homes are built by fixing wooden stakes into the ground, tying cross pieces, and covering the structure with old cloth and tarpaulin.
सधैँभरि यो पुर्खा मेरो पुर्खौली त्यस्तो छ त्यस्तो नभइदिए भए एक ठाउँमा बस्ने थियो एक ठाउँमा नभए यो हजुरलाई हल्दुवार यो घर बनाउँछौँ त्यस्तो घर हामी मन पर्दैन मेरो मन परेको यही यस्तै चिरपाल तागा तागाको राम्रो हुन्छ हामीले यस्तै मन पराउँछ यही गाडो लगाएर राम्रो मान्छौँ अब पहिला हेर्न जानु पर्यो पहिला सबैले त्यो हेर्न तपाई आफै यो हामी आफू त जाँदैन केटाउडु जान्छ त केटाउडु गएर फेरि हेरेर ठाउँ राम्रो छ कि नराम्रो छ कि भनेर ठाउँ यो जहाँ ठाउँ राम्रो भयो त्यही जाने यस्तै पाखामा को बस्न सक्छ र यस्तै समूह जग्गा चाहियो.
Especially during winter, protecting themselves from the cold becomes difficult. They sleep on the bare ground with only thin tarpaulins, not enough clothing to cover their bodies fully. Men wear a loincloth and wrap their backs with coarse cloth, knotted in front and falling to the thighs, with a cap or a small turban on their heads. Women wear a short, patterned skirt of rough fabric and a handmade blouse that covers only part of the torso and chest. Women adorn themselves with earrings, necklaces and bracelets made of iron, brass and aluminum. When we visited in late Kartik, the cold had already set in, yet the Raute sat on the ground as usual. Even when ill, they rely solely on their chieftain, traditional healing practices and herbal remedies. The Raute tell that the community consists of 3 clans, Katyal, Raskoti and Samalvanshi Shahi. According to the National Census of 2021, Raute population stands at 566. It was 618 in the 2011 census.
बात यो कोही मान्छे यो पहिला पहिला त आया थिएन अब आजभोलि त यो सामान पनि आउँछ भट्टा पनि लाग्यो हो कि होइन सामान पनि आउँछ यो तिरपाल पनि आउँछ ब्ल्याङ्केट आउँछ खाना पुग्यो त भइयो अब भोकै मरेको छैन के अरे बाहिरबाट आए भने कामधारी त गर्नु पर्यो हो कि होइन त्यो काम कुसी बनाउनु पर्यो मधुस बनाउनु पर्यो खाद बनाउनु पर्छ अब दराजहरू हामी बनाउँदैन हजुर.
Traditionally, the Raute have lived in the forests, ravines and riverbanks of districts like Dailek, Jajurkot, Surkhet, Acham, Salyan, Dang and Kalikot. They dwell in the wilderness, hunt monkeys and carve wooden utensils which they exchange for grain in nearby villages. It's a cycle that sustains their livelihood. The Raute have distinct marriage customs. After marriage, a separate area is set aside for the couple. According to Rauti belief, a widow should not remarry after her husband's death. Marriages occur strictly within their own community between Rauti youths. Apart from cooking pots at home, an axe for cutting trees, and a chisel-like tool for shaping wood, the Rauti do not store belongings. Men prefer to hunt monkeys using traps, while women gather wild roots and tubers. With just an axe and chisel, they craft wooden utensils. Once, the Rauti believed touching money would bring misfortune. They also avoided speaking with outsiders. But today, they readily ask anyone for money, an indicator of the slow transformation in their lifestyle and consumption habits.
मेरो नाम फुलमाया
कति वर्षको भयो
म 18 भयो
अनि स्कुल जाँदैन
स्कुल त जान थियो पहिला त जान दिएन आज बोले पनि स्कुल जान दिन्न
कसले
मुखियाले
किन नि
मुखियाले नि पढ्न लेख्न दिन्न त
किन होला त त्यस्तो
खै के पो होला नि मुखियाले दिन्न नि पढ्न जान त मन त लाग्छ तर पढ्न दिन्न.
In recent years, increasing dependence on alcohol has begun to create serious health issues within the community.
कहिले न कहिले यो यहाँ जंगलमा बस्ने बजार हेर्न जाने भरु चिस्टोडा आडा माइने मान्छेमा कसैले बजारको नशा हुन्छ त्यो नास हेर्न जाने कसैले यो मौसुक लाग्छ चिस्टो मौसुक यो जंगलबाट मौसुक हेरे पनि झन् आउन मान्छे यो मेरो परिवर्तन नगर्ने मान्छे परिवर्तन गरेको कहिले पनि राम्रो भन्दैन हामी मेरो पुर्खैबाट यो परिवर्तन नगरेको मान्छे परिवर्तन गरेको न यो पैसा चाहिँ आँखाले पैसा चिनेटा भइहाल्यो.
Nepal's constitution not only recognizes the equal existence, rights and dignity of all ethnic groups, but also ensures fair protection, upliftment, empowerment and development of marginalized and endangered communities. The state has pledged equal distribution of economic, social and cultural opportunities with special provisions for the protection and advancement of disadvantaged people within minority groups. Although the federal and provincial governments have introduced various programs for the Rauti community in recent years, the lives of the Rauti have yet to see the meaningful improvement envisioned. Nepali Congress unveils sweeping political reforms, including a historic no-vote provision to strengthen democracy nationwide. Nepal's flagship government health insurance program faces crisis as hospitals halt services over unpaid dues. Nepal's first fully student-built Munal satellite launched, marking historic achievement despite mid-flight mission failure. Iran warns it is prepared for war if US intervenes amid deadly anti-government protests. Gold and silver hit record highs as US Justice Department probe raises concerns over Federal Reserve independence. And Supreme Court issues interim order halting all ANFA central election processes scheduled for 11th February. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. The second special general convention of Nepali Congress has been extended until Tuesday. Party officials say the extension is due to ongoing detailed discussions on reports presented by two general secretaries. According to the Convention Management Committee, the convention will continue through Tuesday and is expected to enter the election process for selecting new leadership on the same day. General Secretaries Gagan Kumar Thapa and Bishwa Prakash Sharma presented their reports earlier today. While preparations for leadership selection are underway, dialogue and negotiations with the party establishment faction are continuing. Party's president, Sher Bahadur Dewa, has also been holding consultations with close Central Committee members to explore ways to prevent internal division. A Central Working Committee meeting has been summoned for tomorrow morning. Government health insurance services in Nepal are facing an acute financial crisis due to a lack of budget. Following non-payment by the Health Insurance Board, Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital in Maharajganj has announced it will suspend all treatments under the health insurance scheme from 15th of January. The hospital says nearly 4 billion rupees remain unpaid for services provided since 2020, making it difficult to continue treatment. Beneficiaries, particularly from low-income groups, say the suspension will severely affect access to healthcare. The Ministry of Health and Population, however, has said insurance claims are being paid gradually and efforts are underway to address the situation. We will dive deeper into this issue on our Issue of the Day segment later in the bulletin. Nepal today marked a major milestone in its space journey with the launch of its first fully student-developed satellite, Munal, from India's Satish Dhawan Space Centre. The satellite was aboard ISRO's PSLV C-62 rocket, which lifted off at 10:32 a.m. Nepal Standard Time. However, the mission suffered a setback after ISRO confirmed a third-stage anomaly. It raised concerns that all payloads, including Munal, were lost. Despite the failure, the Munal project remains a landmark achievement for Nepal's student-led space research. More on Munal mission in our cover story of the day in a while. Now, tensions in Iran are escalating after weeks of deadly anti-government protests. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said, while Tehran is prepared for war if the US intervenes, the country does not seek conflict. The warning comes after President Donald Trump indicated the US is considering very strong options in response to the crackdown. According to the US-based rights group HRANA, nearly 500 protesters have been killed since demonstrations began over the rapidly falling value of Iran's currency in late December. A nationwide internet blackout has made reporting inside the country nearly impossible. Now, gold and silver surged to record highs after reports that the U.S. Justice Department has opened an investigation involving the Federal Reserve, stoking fears over the central bank's independence and driving investors toward safe haven assets. Spot gold climbed to a fresh peak, while silver posted its strongest session in months as markets reacted to the prospect of political or legal pressure on the Fed. Traders said the investigation raised concerns about the future conduct of monetary policy and the credibility of the world's most influential central bank. In a video announcing the probe, Powell said the U.S. Justice Department served the agency with subpoenas and threatened a criminal indictment over testimony he gave to a Senate committee about renovations to Federal Reserve buildings. Nepal's Supreme Court has issued an interim order suspending all procedures for the upcoming central election of the All Nepal Football Association, previously scheduled for 11th of February. The order came on Monday following a petition from the Gorkha District Football Association, which sought to halt the election process. A single bench, led by Justice Kripa Surkarki, has directed both parties to appear on 20th of January for discussions, keeping all election activities on hold until then. The ANFA Central Committee had already begun preparations for the early election, even though the current committee's term runs until 18th of June. ANFA President has stated that the early election aims to ensure organizational dynamism under the changed circumstances. Nepal government's much-touted health insurance scheme is under strain. As hospitals warn, they may stop services. With years of unpaid government dues, Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital is set to halt insurance care, raising concerns that this could just be the beginning. A special coverage after this short break. You're watching NTV World. Welcome back to News Hour. Time now for issue of the day. Nepal's flagship government health insurance program is facing a critical test as mounting unpaid dues push hospitals to the brink. Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital has announced it will halt insurance services from 15th of January, citing nearly 4 years of unpaid government reimbursements, raising fears that other hospitals may soon follow. Smith Singh Tamang brings more.
Nepal's government health insurance program, once hailed as a breakthrough in public health care, is now facing a serious crisis. In a public notice, Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital, one of the country's largest government hospitals, has announced it will stop providing government health insurance services from January 15. The hospital attributes the closure to government's inability to clear about 50% of the dues. According to the hospital, the government of Nepal has failed to clear nearly 390 million rupees in insurance payments pending since 2020.
If government is here to pay, last time we visit Ministry of Finance also, Ministry of Health also, but they are positive, they are talking positive, but we are not believing wood. We need in cash. We have very difficult condition. It's not clear since 2007. Their capacity also not working properly, Bima's capacity. So if government is here, government provide, it is on their hand.
Nepal's modern national health insurance program was launched on April 7, 2016, starting from Kailali district and later expanded nationwide under the Health Insurance Board guided by the Health Insurance Act 2017. The idea was simple. By paying an annual premium of 3,500 rupees for a family of 5, citizens, including those below the poverty line, could receive health services worth up to 100,000 rupees annually. Today, the program runs through 510 hospitals nationwide, 425 first contact hospitals, and 85 referral hospitals. As of 2024, between 7.7 and 9 million people, nearly one-fourth of Nepal's population, are enrolled. But the financial strain is mounting. According to official figures, the government now owes around 10.5 billion rupees to health institutions nationwide. TU Teaching Hospital has become the first major government hospital to announce withdrawal, raising concerns that others may follow. Authorities acknowledge the pressure, citing delayed payments, overuse of services, and the country's economic slowdown.
I don't think that health insurance program in Nepal it's failed. We do have the plenty of examples for the health insurance programs that it shows that it's a successful program in country. You know that there is always room to improvement even for any type of programs. For health insurance program, recently we do have the question of sustainability. Basically the fund pooling, risk pooling. Government is trying to explore different areas to pool the resources in one basket so that we can address the catastrophic financial need of needy people.
For millions, this insurance scheme has meant access to care they could never afford otherwise. But with hospitals struggling and dues piling up, a pressing question now remains. Is Nepal's government health insurance program on the verge of collapse, or can it still be saved before more hospitals pull out? With camera person Samir Thapa, Smitu Gising Tamang reporting for NTV World.
Nepal government has given special priority to a national health insurance program with the intention of providing financial protection and accessible quality health care to all citizens and also to achieve universal health coverage by 2030, which is a vital aspect of its sustainable development goals. Diksha Awasthi looks at some infographics.
The initiatives to develop the National Health Insurance Program date back to 1976. When the first health insurance scheme was introduced at Patan Hospital in Lalitpur district. In 2013, the social health insurance policy was introduced. During 2015-16, the National Health Insurance Program was piloted in 3 districts, Kailali, Baglung, and Ilam. The Social Health Insurance Program was launched in 2016. In 2017, the government enacted the Health Insurance Act and the Health Insurance Board came into existence to oversee the program. The National Health Insurance Program was officially launched the same year. The program aims to provide quality healthcare services and protect households from financial hardship. Within less than a decade of its inception, NHIP has extended coverage to over 7 million individuals, within Nepal's total population of 30 million. The NHIP receives financial contributions from both the government and insured members in the form of insurance premiums, which must be renewed annually. The current annual premium is 3,500 Nepali rupees, that is $26.40 per family, with an additional 700 Nepali rupees, that is $5.30 for each insured member beyond 5 family members. The government provides subsidies for certain target groups and households with HIV/AIDS patients receiving a full subsidy. Members of NHIP are entitled to free care at impaneled health facilities up to a maximum of 100,000 Nepali rupees, that is $754 per family annually.
And in this context, we asked beneficiaries how the recent closure of the government health insurance service will impact them. Here's what they had to say.
हामीलाई बिमा पहिले हामीलाई बिमाको थाहा थिएन कुन सरकारले बिमा ल्यायो हामीले बिमा गर्यौं हामीले भइ नभई पैसा तिर्यौं वर्ष दिनको साउनमा रिन्यु गर्नु थियो किन रिन्यु गरो यसो बिमाको बन्द गर्छ भने हामी दुखी गरिबको लागि बिमा आयो भने हामीले सबैले बिमा गर्नु जुन सरकार आए पनि हामीलाई बिमा गर्नु हामीलाई दबाई उपचार गर्न बिमा चाहिन्छ
हातमा पैसा छैन थोरै पैसा छ उपचार गर्न वञ्चित छ त्यसले यो बिमा मार्फत चाहिँ राम्रो उपचार गर्न पाइरहेको छ सुविधा पाइरहेको छ त्यसले धेरै वृद्धदेखि लिएर अशक्त अनि गरिबहरूको चाहिँ कल्याण भइरहेको छ यसरी बन्द गर्दाखेरि ठुलो समस्या धेरै मान्छेहरू उपचारबाट वञ्चित हुनुपर्छ अनि धेरै चाहिँ उपचारविहीन भएर चाहिँ घरमै छटपटाइरहनु पर्ने हुन्छ त्यसकारण यो बिमा चाहिँ बन्द गर्न हुन्न
अब यहाँ हामी हस्पिटललाई दिएन भने हामीले बन्द गर्न भएन हामीले हैन अनि हामीले खोज्नु पर्ने चाहिँ कता हो हामीले गएछु फारम भरेछु हामीले भर्खरी यो लट्ने हो हामीले गरेको
यो गराएपछि जनतालाई झुक्काउने काम गर्न हुँदैन यो सरकारले जसरी हुन्छ हस्पिटललाई नदिएर हस्पिटलले यस्तो गरेको हो कि हामी जनताहरूले केही जानेको छैन जनताले जसरी नै सेवा सुविधा चाहिँ पाउन पर्यो
सरकारले दिएको सुविधा पनि सरकारले हेर्न सक्दैन भने त सरकारलाई के गर्नुपर्छ सबै जनता जति मिलेर त भरेको रिटर्न पैसा हामीले फिर्ता पाउनुपर्छ
यो बिमा भनेको एउटा गरिब दुखीलाई सबैलाई हैन एउटा सेवा सुविधा थियो अब यो सेवा सुविधा नभएपछि सबै गरिब दुखीकोलाई अब मार्न खोज्यो यसले
That was our issue of the day. We're going for a short break here. After the break, a historic first for Nepal's space journey turns bittersweet. The country's first student-built satellite lifts off from India, but a critical failure mid-mission clouds the milestone. Welcome back to NTV World News Hour. Time now for cover story of the day. In a historic leap for Nepal's space ambitions, the nation's first fully student-developed satellite, Munal, was launched today from India's Satish Dhawan Space Centre. But the moment of triumph turned bittersweet as the mission suffered a critical failure mid-flight. Devendra Subedi follows the satellite launch.
At exactly 10:32 a.m. Nepal's standard time on Monday, the Indian Space Research Organization's PSLV C-62 rocket soared into the skies from Sriharikota, carrying with it the hopes of a new generation of Nepali scientists.
2, 1, 0. S-139 motor and both strap-ons ignite.
Here's the pillar of fire meets the canvas of blue. PSLV C-62 clearing the umbilical tower, a majestic liftoff.
Among the 16 payloads on board was Munal, a 1U CubeSat designed and built entirely by Nepali high school students. Developed over 2 years at the Space Systems Laboratory of Kathmandu University High School, the Munal project brought together 9 students from across Nepal under the mentorship of Antariksha Pratishthan Nepal, or the APN, and in collaboration with NAST and ISRO. Named after Nepal's national bird, the Munal satellite was built to monitor air quality and atmospheric data, aiming to support environmental research and STEM education. It was also a symbol of Nepal's growing capabilities in space technology. But just minutes after its launch, ISRO confirmed a third stage anomaly in the PSLV C-62 rocket.
We had attempted the PSLV C-62 EOS N1 mission. The PSLV vehicle is a 4-stage vehicle with 2 solid stages and 2 liquid stages. The performance of the vehicle up to the end of, close to the end of third stage was as expected. Close to the end of the third stage, we are seeing little more disturbance in the vehicle roll rates, and subsequently there is a deviation observed in the flight path. We are analyzing the data and we shall come back at the earliest.
The vehicle deviated from its intended trajectory, and all 16 satellites on board, including Munal, are now feared lost. This marks a significant moment in Nepal's space history. While the mission did not reach orbit, the achievement of building and launching a satellite entirely by Nepali students is unprecedented. Nepal's journey into space began with Nepali Sat-1, launched in 2019 under Japan's BIRDS 3 program. The satellite was built by Nepali engineers including Avas Maske and Hariram Shrestha in collaboration with an international team. In contrast, Munal is the first satellite developed entirely within Nepal by high school students using local resources and expertise. Despite Monday's setback, the Munal mission has already inspired a new generation of Nepali innovators. As the nation looks to the stars, this moment will be remembered not for its failure, but for its fearless first step.
Separated. There's a confirmation from the range of...
And earlier we spoke with Dr. Avas Maske, aerospace engineer and founder of Antariksha Pratishthan Nepal and lead Nepal's Munal satellite project. Let's take a look at some key excerpts from that conversation. As someone who's also involved in Nepal's first satellite, Nepali Sat-1 project, how would you say Munal is different?
When we built the first satellite, we already had shown that university students could build it. The challenge was to go further down and see if high school students could build it. And on top of that, see if government school students could be involved in that project. So that is why Munal is so different in a way that we handpicked students from government schools and then built a space systems laboratory from scratch at Kathmandu University High School. So there were students from Azad, Chaitanya, Sanjeevani and Kathmandu University High School participating in that project, and they were able to build it in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. How big would you say is it for Nepal to have its own fully homegrown satellite? Does this mark a milestone in Nepal's space capabilities?
Right. So, I mean, we are trying to build up our in-house technology R&D from ground up. And that is why what we have done is we have built up the communication system, onboard computer, structure. Everything has been built from ground up, right? So everything was designed by Nepali engineers. And then these high school students learned those designs and then they built it from scratch and was able to put, unfortunately, not into orbit, but at least it reached space today.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Maske, if you could explain the whole development process of Munal, that, as you mentioned, high school students were involved from across the country, in fact.
Unfortunately, we tried to do that. We tried to have students from all over Nepal, but the challenge was a logistical one. So what we did was we centralized the Space Systems Laboratory at Dhulikhel, and then we selected schools, government schools that was nearby. And that is how we managed to do it, because, you know, satellite making process is not a one-off process. It's not a one-day process. It takes quite a lot of time. And we had to manage their, curriculum. We had to manage their exams. So it was after-school program that we launched. And our engineers from Antariksha Pratishthan Nepal, they were stationed at Kathmandu University High School 24/7, and they came to the lab and they learned it there.
Mm-hmm. Now, considering the setback that we saw with this mission, what would you say is in the offing, and how long can we expect until another launch of maybe Munal?
So, if you really look at the timeline, we started the project in 2022 January. and it has already been 4 years. So the agreement was signed in 2024 January between New Space India Limited and NAST, which is the stakeholder of this particular project. And you see that it took almost 2 more years to get the satellite up and running. In the meantime, we had already worked on Slippers to Sat. You must have heard the Chepang children had built a satellite similar to the size. And from high school, we went all the way to middle school. So the middle school satellite was launched from China, and it's actually functional right now. We received the beacon from Japan and Nepal. In the case of Munal, it's unfortunate, but Munal was supposed to be the second satellite, and because it took some time for India to launch it, Slippers to Sat went ahead and got launched from China ahead.
That was our cover story of the day. In other news, President Ramchandra Paul has summoned a meeting of the National Assembly on Sunday, January 18 at 11 a.m. The session will take place at the Federal Parliament Secretariat in Singhdarbar. According to the President's office, the session was called on the recommendation of the Council of Ministers in line with Article 93 of the Constitution. This will be the first National Assembly meeting since the Gen Z-led protests, which left the Parliament building severely damaged and unusable. Lawmakers will now convene at the Secretariat as authorities work on processing work for rebuilding the damaged structures. Earlier, Nepal government recommended the National Assembly convene a new session. At a cabinet meeting at Singhdarbar, the Council of Ministers proposed that the National Assembly session be called on Sunday, January 18 at 11 a.m. according to government spokesperson and Minister for Communication and Information Technology, Jagadish Kharel.
सम्बत 2082 साल माघ 4 गते आइतबारको दिन बिहान 11 बजे संघीय संसद सचिवालय सिंहदरबारमा संघीय संसदको राष्ट्रिय सभाको अधिवेशन आह्वान गर्न सम्माननीय राष्ट्रपति समक्ष सिफारिस गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
The Cabinet also approved National Strategy Against Human Trafficking 2082 and a comprehensive financial sector strategy. In international assistance, the government allocated $350,000 for the reconstruction of Myanmar's Mahamuni Phaya Buddhist Pagoda and Ganga Ghat Temple damaged in March 2025 earthquake. Nepal will also contribute $283,503 as its 2024 annual membership fee to International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, ACMOD. The Special General Convention of Nepali Congress entered this second day, but the tussle between the renegades and the inception side remains unclear. Both sides remain skeptical over possible split in the party, and buying time seems to the strategy as the special convention has been extended by a day. Bhavana Kesi follows the developments that span the day.
As a closed session of Nepali Congress's Special General Convention has been extended, decisions on election process for leadership selection and other key issues are likely withheld until the two sides sit for negotiations. The second-rung leaders, including Shekhar Koirala and Shashank Koirala, tried to break the ice over the indifference shown by the inception side over the majority-backed Special Convention on Monday. The developments following Party President Sher Bahadur Dewa's consultation with his loyalists and then the Koiralas led to summoning of the Central Committee meeting scheduled for Tuesday. They were earlier adamant to the calls of General Secretaries seemed to be exercising some flexibility after seeing the sentiments of the majority of the General Convention members. The closed session, which was supposed to move ahead with the election process on Monday, has been extended to accommodate the inception side, according to the General Secretaries. In the session at Brikudi Mandap, 9 separate groups, including 7 based on the 7 provinces and 2 based on the Valley and the sister organizations, have been formed. Thapa's political proposal on contemporary issues outlined a vision to transform the party into a dynamic and advanced democratic force.
तर सिद्धान्तको राजनीति सबभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा हो भन्ने कुरा यो खण्डमा मैले चर्चा गरेको छु। सुशासन र भ्रष्टाचार नियन्त्रणका सन्दर्भमा यसको लामो व्याख्या छ, तपाईले अहिले पछि पढ्नु होला। त्यसपछाडि चुस्त सार्वजनिक सेवा प्रवाह यसको बारेमा कुराकानी गरेको छु। कार्यमूलक लोकतन्त्र र दलीय सुधार यसका बारेमा कुरा गरेको छु। संविधान संशोधनमा साझा धारणा श्रद्धेय सुशील कोइरालाको नेतृत्वमा बनेको संविधान, यो संविधानमा हामीलाई गर्व पनि छ र यो संविधानको निरन्तर रूपमा अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ भन्ने हाम्रो मान्यता पनि छ। अहिले केन्द्रीय कार्य समिति आफैले आयोजना गरेको भए के हुन्थ्यो, हामी यसलाई लेख्थ्यौं, यो लेखेर तयार गरिसकेपछि केन्द्रीय समितिमा लिएर जान्थ्यौं, केन्द्रीय समितिले यसलाई पारित गर्थ्यो, केन्द्रीय समितिले पारित गरिसकेपछि हामी महाधिवेशनमा लिएर आउँथ्यौं, महाधिवेशन फेरि सर्वोच्च निकाय केन्द्रीय समितिले लिएको कुरालाई पुरै खारेज गरेर तपाईहरुले नयाँ गर्न पनि सक्नुहुन्थ्यो। हामी त्यो बाटो यसपालि हिँड्ने मौका पाएनौं, तर कुरा एउटै हो, अहिले यो प्रस्तावित हो, अब छलफल गरेर हलले यसलाई जे पारित गर्छ, यसमा केही कुरा थप्नु छ थप्छौं, हटाउनु छ हटाउँछौं, घटाउनु छ घटाउँछौं र त्यसपछि यो महाधिवेशनले पारित गरिसकेपछि यो पार्टीको दस्तावेज हुन्छ।
While Thapa and company insist that the Special General Convention incorporates the Gen Z sentiments, Dewa and his loyalists are still calling the move illegitimate. All eyes will be set for Tuesday's Central Committee meeting, where the General Secretaries will have the upper hand, while the inception side will have to listen and propose a win-win situation. Otherwise, as claimed by the Special Convention supporters, the constitutional gathering will not end until changing even the leadership.
The Election Commission of Nepal has reported that 63 members listed on the proportional inclusive closed list for the upcoming national elections have withdrawn their names. This list allows political parties to nominate representatives to ensure fair representation of women, minorities and marginalized communities in Parliament. Deputy spokesperson Gul Bahadur GC said the withdrawal process for these 63 members is complete, with more applications still under review. The total number of withdrawals could reach around 100. Most withdrawals came from Janamat Party, with 19 members opting out, while members from Nepali Congress, CPN Nuebel, Nepali Communist Party and Rashtra Swatantra Party also voluntarily withdrew. The Commission says the process is proceeding transparently, highlighting Nepal's ongoing efforts to strengthen inclusive and accountable democracy. Nepal's Election Commission has introduced the concept of a green election ahead of upcoming House of Representatives elections scheduled for March 5. The Commission's Code of Conduct requires political parties and candidates to use environmentally friendly materials for election campaigns and ensure all campaign materials are collected and properly disposed of after rallies, public meetings and door-to-door programs. The guidelines also encourage digital campaigning, reduce noise, water and air pollution, and strictly prohibit the use of plastic or non-biodegradable materials. Vehicles used for campaigns are expected to prioritize electric or renewable energy sources. The Commission has emphasized that political parties must actively support environmentally conscious programs during the election process. The Israeli ambassador to Nepal, Shmulik Aribas, paid a courtesy call on Prime Minister Sushila Karki at Singhadarwar today. The ambassador congratulated Prime Minister Karki for making history as Nepal's first female Chief Justice and then first female Prime Minister, and extended his best wishes for her success. During the meeting, both sides highlighted the 65th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Nepal and Israel, emphasizing efforts to further strengthen friendly ties. The ambassador also welcomed the recent labor agreement, providing a legal framework for Nepali workers in Israel, while the Prime Minister expressed gratitude for the employment opportunities and reiterated the government's focus on conducting peaceful elections to the House of Representatives. New Year usually represents fresh beginnings and renewed hope. But as the Tharu community, one of Nepal's indigenous people of the southern plains, prepare to celebrate its New Year or the Maghi festival, a part of that community once again feels left out. Vijeta Bhandari, with our local correspondent Madhav Kumar Oli, look into their plight.
For the freed Kamayas or the former bonded laborers, the spirit of Maghi or their communal New Year feels distant. Poverty and the pressure of earning daily wage mean that the festival's gatherings, traditional delicacies and sense of unity often pass by them like any ordinary day. The government of Nepal officially abolished the Kamaya practice on July 2000. The system had trapped generations of Tharu families into forced labor, especially in western Nepal. But for many, that announcement marked the start of a long and difficult struggle rather than true freedom. Across districts like Dang, Baake, Bardia, Kailali and Kanchanpur, Tharo communities are immersed in Maghi celebrations. Yet in freed Kamaiya settlements, there is little sign of festivity. According to the Freed Kamaiya Society, there are 241 freed Kamaiya settlements across these districts. In Kamaiya Muktinagar of the Lamahi municipality in Dang, residents are working for daily wages instead of preparing for Maghi celebrations. A total of 142 freed Kamaiya families live in the Muktinagar settlement. They lament of living on small plots of land since 2007 that was distributed from property belonging to the Mahindra Multiple Campus in Dang. According to Freed Kamaiya Society in Dang, more than 10,000 freed Kamaiyas across Nepal still do not have identity cards. In Dang alone, 3,385 people remain unregistered. Although camps have been set up in 14 locations, poor data collection makes rehabilitation works arduous. Maghi is a celebration of renewal, culture and community for the Tharo people. But for many freed Kamaiyas who spent generations in bonded labor, the promise of that new beginning remains out of reach.
Well, international news coming up next, but before that, a quick look at the headlines. Nepali Congress unveils sweeping political reforms, including a historic no-vote provision to strengthen democracy nationwide. Nepal's flagship government health insurance program faces crisis as hospitals halt services over unpaid dues. Nepal's first fully student-built Munal satellite launched, marking historic achievement despite mid-flight mission failure. Iran warns it is prepared for war if US intervenes amid deadly anti-government protests. Gold and silver hit record highs as US Justice Department probe raises concerns over Federal Reserve independence. And Supreme Court issues interim order halting all ANFA central election processes scheduled for 11th of February. The United Nations top court has opened a landmark case accusing Myanmar of committing genocide against its mostly Muslim Rohingya minority. Myanmar's military deliberately targeted the Rohingya minority in a bid to destroy the community, Gambia's Justice Minister Dada Jallow told the ICJ. A UN fact-finding mission at the time concluded that the 2017 offensive had included genocidal acts. Nicholas Gomjian, head of the UN's independent investigative mechanism for Myanmar, said the case is likely to set critical precedents for how genocide is defined and how it can be proven and how violations can be remedied. But authorities in Myanmar rejected the report, saying its military offensive was a legitimate counter-terrorism campaign in response to attacks by alleged Rohingya armed groups. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral talks with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz on Monday in the western Indian city of Ahmedabad, focusing on trade, investment and strategic cooperation. The meeting comes 2 weeks ahead of a planned European Union-India summit, where officials are expected to finalize a long-negotiated free trade agreement. Both leaders discussed strengthening economic ties, cooperation in clean energy and technology, and regional and global issues of mutual interest. Germany is one of India's key trading partners in Europe, and the talks are seen as part of broader efforts to deepen EU-India relations ahead of the upcoming summit. Officials said the discussions also covered supply chain resilience, defense cooperation, and expanding collaboration between German and Indian companies. The sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un demanded South Korea to provide an explanation about drone incursion, insisting that the drone from the south clearly violated the North's airspace. Kim Yo-jong said it is clear that a South Korean drone violated their airspace. As South Korea's defense ministry denied the North's claim that drones had been flown from the south, she added that they were not the models possessed by the South Korean military. She demanded a detailed explanation about the drone incursion, no matter if it was carried out by the military or civilians. Regarding its announcements of its stance not to provoke North Korea, Kim said that the South Korean military made a wise choice and that it will face a terrible consequence it will never be able to deal with if it opts for provocation. Much less winter snow is falling on the Himalayas, leaving the mountains bare and rocky in many parts of the region in a season when they should be snow-clad, meteorologists have said. They say most winters in the last 5 years have seen a drop compared to average snowfall between 1980 and 2020. Rising temperature also means what little snow falls melts very quickly, and some lower elevation areas are also seeing more rain and less snow, which is at least in part due to global warming. Studies have also shown there is now what is known as snow drought during winter in many parts of the Himalayan region. We're going for a short break here. Business news coming up next.
Japan has begun testing deep-sea mining technology for rare earth elements, a move with significant implications for global supply chains and high-tech industries. The research vessel has set sail for an area about 150 kilometers southeast of Minami Torishima Island, with Japan's exclusive economic zone, where scientists have identified high concentrations of rare earths on the seabed some 6,000 meters below the surface. The project is led by the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology under a Cabinet Office initiative. Over a 20-day mission, researchers will evaluate newly developed mining pipes and equipment following 7 years of research and development. The goal is to assess whether Japan can commercially extract rare earths from deep-sea deposits. The project comes as China, which dominates global rare earth production, tightens export controls on materials deemed dual use. Japanese officials and businesses are increasingly concerned that rare earth could face future restrictions, potentially disrupting industries such as electric vehicles, renewable energy, electronics, and defense. Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok is facing mounting global regulatory pressure after being widely misused to generate sexually explicit and non-consensual images of women and minors. Indonesia and Malaysia have temporarily blocked access to the tool, citing risks from AI-generated fake pornography. Both countries enforce strict anti-pornography laws. The UK media regulator Ofcom has launched a formal investigation into Grok's image creation feature. Under Britain's Online Safety Act, platforms are legally required to prevent the creation and sharing of non-consensual intimate images or child sexual abuse material, with fines of up to 10% of global revenue for breaches. Grok's operator recently limited the tool to paying subscribers, a move UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer criticized as insufficient to protect victims. The European Commission is also reviewing complaints about the platform. The crackdown underscores growing regulatory risks for Musk's AI ventures as governments worldwide move to tighten oversight of generative AI and content safeguards, potentially affecting market access and adoption. Gold surged past $4,600 per ounce on Monday, while silver reached an all-time high above $85 as investors sought safe haven assets amid uncertainty over U.S. political pressure on Federal Reserve Chair On Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, spot gold rose 2.5% to $4,620.56, with February futures up 2.9% at $4,631.30. Silver was up 6.9% at $85.44 per ounce. Traders said the investigation raised concerns about the future conduct of monetary policy and the credibility of the world's most influential central bank. Volkswagen's vehicle deliveries fell 4.9% in the fourth quarter of 2025, dropping to 2.38 million units. The decline was largely driven by weaker demand in China and North America, where competition from local electric vehicle makers, ongoing price pressures, and EV subsidies hitting sales. Deliveries in Western Europe rose 5.6% and in Central and Eastern Europe 5.9%, showing that the company is still holding ground in its home and nearby markets. However, strong European performance wasn't enough to offset a 17% drop in China and North America, highlighting the challenges global automakers face as the EV market matures and consumer preferences shift.
Time now for sports update. From the dusty fields of Makwanpur to the cricket grounds of London, one man's unfulfilled dream is now shaping the future of Nepali cricket. Diksha Awasthi brings us the story of Raj Thapa, a name one may not find in national records, but whose legacy is taking root where it matters most.
This young man once dreamed of wearing the Nepali national jersey when cricket was not as big as it is now. But for Raj Pandey, life had other plans. Born and raised in Makwanpur, a district far from Nepal's cricketing spotlight, Pandey's early promise as an under-19 player never translated into national glory. In the early 2000s, he represented Madhya province in regional tournaments. But with mounting pressure from family to focus on studies and secure a job, cricket slowly slipped away.
Cricket is always on your blood. It never goes. If you are true lover of cricket, true lover, then it will never ever fade away from your life. Passion is there, and hobby is there, but passion and hobby doesn't make your life better. So to make a better life from a middle class family, you need to think about your future, earning money to look after your families.
In 2017, Raj moved to the UK, a new country, a new life, but the same old love for cricket. He founded Maya Cricket Club in London, starting from the 4th Division of Middlesex County. What began as a weekend skip soon became a community hub for Nepali players abroad. The club even hosted the Nepali national team during their UK tour, offering grounds, gear, and goodwill. Maya Cricket Club's recently sponsored 9 national cricketer as its brand ambassador, showing the pure passion for the game in the home country. But Pandey's biggest innings is just beginning back home. He's invested over 20 million rupees to build a cricket academy in Makwanpur. A district that has yet to produce a national player now has a new hope. For Raj, it's not about what he lost, but what he can give. Through every bat swing and ball bowled, he is reliving a dream that once slipped away. Raj Pandey may never have played for Nepal, but through this academy, he is building a future where many others just might. A story of passion, perseverance, and purpose. Raj Pandey's second innings is already inspiring a new generation.
Barcelona edged past Real Madrid in a 5-goal thriller to win back-to-back Spanish Super Cup finals in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It marked a 16th triumph in the tournament for Hansi Flick's side, with Barcelona also beating Los Blancos in last year's final. Brazilian forward Rafinha's floated shot in the 73rd minute proved to be the winner after a frantic ending to the first half. 3 quick-fire goals in first half stoppage time put the two on level terms at the break after Rafinha had opened the scoring, drilling into the bottom corner in the 36th minute. Vinicius Jr. equalized 2 minutes into 3 of added time, nutmegging Jules Koundé on a brilliant run before sliding into the far corner of the score to score, in fact, his first real goal in 17 games since October last year. But Barca held on to secure a second consecutive title for the first time since 2011. Time now for the weather update, first from Nepal and then from around the world. Before wrapping up, here's a look into the top stories once again. Nepali Congress unveils sweeping political reforms, including a historic no-vote provision to strengthen democracy nationwide. Nepal's flagship government health insurance program faces crisis as hospitals halt services over unpaid dues. Nepal's first fully student-built Munal satellite launched, marking historic achievement despite mid-flight mission failure. Iran warns it is prepared for war if US intervenes amid deadly anti-government protests. Gold and silver hit record highs as US Justice Department probe raises concerns over Federal Reserve independence. And Supreme Court issues interim order halting all NFA central election processes scheduled for 11th of February. That is all for the moment here on NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media and also get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for joining us. Good night.